Hey.
Oh, it's another Friday freestyle on what is it, January 21st?
Yeah.
It's
Man, that was quick.
2022.
This month is going by fast.
I know. It's like before we know it, it's gonna be like Valentine's Day and then spring and Groundhog's Day and then like what it was. I don't know. It's just gonna like this year is already going. Seems like it's going by fast. But we're just enjoying it. And Friday Freestyle is one of those
Yeah.
new things that we're doing. We experimented with it the latter part of last year, and here we are again with another edition with my the newest addition to the Comics Cast family, Vic Medina. So happy to have you here. And this is Friday
Thanks, man.
Freestyle. So Friday Freestyle is just like it says. It's on a Friday and it's freestyle. That means that it's no script. It's somewhat uncensored in the sense that as long as everybody keeps it kind of clean, but it means that we just want everybody to come in here and just geek out with us. We want everybody to nerd out with us. We can draw, we can talk, we can plug if you're a creator and you want to plug your Kickstarter, your crowdfunding, your Indiegogo, you just let us know. We'll definitely talk that up. But it's pretty much an open-ended show, open studio, where you can hang out with Vic, myself, and anybody who wants to join us. So if you look in the comments field, we've already posted it there for everybody to check out. Let me show this real quick. You can go here and join us. We'd love to have you. And like I said, it's an open studio. So just want to vibe and geek out. Come along and join us. Vic, you want to say hello to everybody?
Hey, everybody.
I'm like, my mouth is getting dry here because I'm just trying to talk about this. Yeah. So let's get this started. Hopefully we'll see some people popping up in here.
Yeah.
It's 10 o'clock on a Friday night, and if you're not out partying, then we'd like you to party with us. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Come on and draw along with us, or just hang out. Just hang out,
yeah,
whichever.
Yeah. So, just to start things up, I'm going to leave this StreamYard list. Just you can talk in the comments field. Let us know you want to come in, or you can just pop in, and then we'll add you to the stream. And I don't know if you feel ready to go right now. Hey, Vic, do you mind if I share your art screen? I'm going to go ahead and just get that popped up there. All right, here we go.
Yeah, sure will.
Mm-hmm. All right, because
there we go.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, Vic is definitely the talented one here on the comics cast.
It's equal.
We want to. In fact, I might just be not drawing and just watch the magic happen here on Vic's camera here. But yeah. Oh, here, look at this. Oh, you popped it up already. Hey, Marshawn. Oh, yeah. See, you even beat me to it. Marshawn is the sister of the little sister of the Urianico crew. And you know what, Vic, I don't know if I've told you, but we're going to have Marshawn as a featured guest. She's a very, very, very talented artist in her own right. I don't know about the Rionicos, but they got this crazy good gene pool. It's like if you can have the Rionico.
They all know how to draw.
Yeah, if you can be a Rionico, which I'm currently trying to figure out how I can add that to my name. Gerald Motos Rionico, so that way I can hopefully
have them adopt you.
Yeah, have them adopt me. So maybe through name association, I can be just as talented as them. But Marshawn, if you want to join us, you're welcome. To come on here. That way we can do a test screening for you when you decide to join us for Let It Out. And here we got. Hey, I'm drawing right now while watching too. Okay, well. How about when you feel comfortable?
Jump on, draw along with us.
Yeah, draw along with us. Or maybe if you want to post any of your work to the art show, let us know. We'll pull that up as well. But we'd love for you to be here. And she says here, we're all way too flattered, Gerald. You know what? I am honored. That flattery is 100% well-deserved. You guys, in fact, I'm going to, after the show, I'm going to share with Vic all the Rionico artwork that I've been archiving. I have a special folder in my artist folder that's just for the Rionicos because it has so much good stuff in there. I'll be happy to share that with you. But yeah, just let us know when you join. And I see you're starting your sketch here, Vic. What is this going to be like a? I don't know.
I'm going to do Moon Knight. I know I was going to do a turtle, but after that trailer dropped, I was like, you know what? Let me do something Moon Knight real quick.
Yeah. What do you
think of that? Did you see it?
Yes, I did. Okay, I had this discussion with my brother-in-law. I was talking about it because I was a Moon Knight fan. back in the 80s. And
Mm-hmm.
I really, as a kid, I really didn't, I was just thought he was a cool character design. I really didn't dig deep into terms like what he was about and things like that. But when I saw this trailer, is it a multiple personality disorder?
Split personality or something.
It's not schizophrenia. He basically has like different personalities existing in him, right? Is that the whole premise of Moon Knight?
I'm gonna say yes because I don't know too much about it either.
Okay.
The most I know is like from like I think he came out in the Spider-Man cartoon once or twice. Like I believe so.
Yeah,
I don't know too much about him. He looks really cool. I've drawn him before, but don't really know too much about him. So I'm excited for the show, especially with Oscar Isaacs playing him. He's a fantastic actor.
He did, and I was reading interviews with him, and he said this is probably one of the most challenging roles that he's had to do. And I thought that was, considering his IMDb profile, he's been in a lot of movies, and I was like thinking to myself, this was his most challenging. So that means to me that they're really the screenwriters and the director are really like making sure that this TV series from Moon Knight is going to be really, really good if it's challenging him that much. But
I guess Apocalypse didn't challenge him that much.
I think that's been erased from my memory. I totally forgot that he played Apocalypse.
I just saw that like 2 days ago. I was lying down to go to sleep and I put it on. I forgot how bad that movie was.
Did it put you to sleep? Did it make you get sleepy?
No, it was so bad again that I was just like, I just got like hooked in. I was like, how did they make? Why did they make this movie?
Oh yeah, I think Fox was trying to like, maybe they were thinking, you know what? Maybe we should. Well, they were trying to play catch up, I think, to the MCU, and they were trying to like adopt all these really good X-Men storylines and make it work with the first class cast, and put in some new people, and it was just a mess. And it
got worse after that.
Yeah, it did. I think because they did the Dark Phoenix saga, which
they did.
I honestly have not watched it. I gave into all the no, because I heard it was such a mess that I decided, you know what, I'm not even going to give it the time. Maybe like you.
No,
it's late night.
You should watch it. It's really good. It's probably the best X-Men movie ever.
So it's the flip of it. So the Dark Phoenix one was really good. Is that what you're saying? Are you being sarcastic?
Yeah, that's what I said.
No problem.
You should go see it.
I haven't been on enough shows with you to recognize your sarcasm yet, so you'll have to forgive me there. But yeah, I'm excited.
It's awful. It's awful.
I'm excited about like Moon Knight. What'd you think about his costume reveal? Did you think it was too CG?
I liked it. I thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know too much about the characters. I don't know if like that's how it happens in the comic, but I thought that looked really cool the way it was like wrapping around him, like the mummy kind of. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Like this is great. The most I've seen of Moon Knight is when they did their more current run where he was in that white suit.
Yes.
Which is like a white suit and a hood on. I've seen more of that than like his older stuff.
Because he had stuff. Yeah, because I think he had like because even the Marvel Legends toy that came out, I think it had two alternate head sculpts where he had the black mask and he had the white mask. And I agree with you. Back in the 80s, I think it was the white mask. And a lot of people have been comparing Moon Knight as like Marvel's version of Batman because he's like he's a rich, he's a kind of like a billionaire playboy, kind of, I think, like Bruce Wayne. Unlimited funds, and then of course he's a vigilante at night, Moon Knight. So like the Dark Knight. So he's kind of like the opposite, He's the White Knight. In
Marshawn says, honestly, pretty hyped for Moon Knight. I hope it's good. Yeah, we are too.
Me too.
We always want like comic book properties to be good. We're fans,
whether
out on them.
Whether it's DC,
even if it's
Marvel,
a character I don't particularly follow, like Moon Knight. I can't say like I followed him, but I hope the show's good. I want to see it.
Yeah. I had mixed impressions. It wasn't like I had bad impressions, but the mixed impressions were everything from like, oh, this looks so cool to like, wow, that's a little intriguing, or even the way that the character, because I think he's like because the character Moon Knight, his name is, I think, Mark Spector. I think that's his name. But in the trailer, he's known as Steven, I think, or like Steven with a P, I think, or something like that. And like he's like saying, why are you calling me? Because that's the whole personality thing. He has 2 different personalities, or maybe multiple ones. And that scene where he's like cowering in the elevator when he's like seeing the Moon Knight persona, I guess, like in reflections. And he says, "Oh, I dropped my contact." He was like cowering in the corner. I thought like, oh, this is kind of a neat thing. And I was thinking, do you think it might be like a Fight Club type thing, like that whole, Fight Club premise where Edward Norton, like you go through the whole movie, and he sees Brad Pitt, but only he sees Brad Pitt. And when he does his whole personality switch, it's like you see things through his eye, and then the big reveal at the end is like they're one and the same. And I think that's kind of a neat thing. It's like, except it's like his Moon Knight persona. Like he's Steven, and then he becomes Mark Spector, the Moon Knight, and goes and does things. I don't know.
Here we go. We might have a little bit of a explanation here. He also has
dissociative personality disorder. Yeah.
All right, you need to come on and teach us everything about Moon Knight, so that way we're not we're not guessing. We're just over here wondering. Maybe he's like this. Maybe he's like that.
Right.
We could be way off.
Well, I think that's the thing. They're going to make it their own with a TV series. That it's going to be something that I'm sure that we're not all, it's not going to be like 100% just like the comic. They're going to come up with their own twist to it. But Dojo Kun Comics, that's Brian Menard. He was a guest on Let It Out before you joined us, Vic. In fact, we're going to have to get Brian back on the show so you can be introduced to Dojo Kun Comics. In fact, just before I got on this show, I was the creator that I was talking about when I told you that I was with another video chat. That was with Brian. We were talking about he has his own YouTube and Facebook show, and he's we're gonna actually he was kind enough to have me be on one of his casts next week, and we're going to be talking about some of his things that he's been working on. I don't want to give any spoilers to it, but on January 26th at 10 p.m., Dojo Kun Shell Shock or Shell Shack. I can't remember exactly what the exact, or Skill Shack. I can't remember exactly what it is. Brian, rescue me. Let me know exactly what the show is called. But I just know that I want to be on the show with Brian. So it's going to be at 10 o'clock, and it's going to be next week. And we're going to be talking about what's new with him. He has this great anthology project. I want to say it was like 9 short stories with 9 different artists. 7
I think I saw
a
post about that.
Yeah. It's a Shill Shack. There we go. Let me pop this up here. And hey, Brian, if you want to go ahead and just post in the comment fields about the details about that particular show, we'll post that. But we're always happy to talk about any of our guests that we had on the show and their individual projects. Aside from actually giving them a dedicated show on Let It Out, we're happy to talk about them on Friday Freestyle. So that's the thing about Friday Freestyle. Right now, it's just me and Vic. We're just geeking out here, watching him create magic here on the screen. But if you're a creator or you're a fellow nerd like us, just want to come in here and talk about your stuff. Oh, we got Brian. Yes, let's get him on here. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, guys. I figured it'd be a lot easier to tell you than try to type all that out.
I think so, too. And, it's like long time no see, deja vu. I think we were just talking like less than half an hour ago.
Right. I had to take care of the puppy and a couple other things, but yep. Vic, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to mewant you, tto.
Yeah, Brian.
Did you see my stuff online? That's cool to hear.
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, Vic, go ahead and I want to introduce you two, and I don't know if Vic and Brian, if you want to talk a little bit about each other's projects, or I don't know. It's Friday Freestyle, so just go for it.
So I'll go ahead and go first, since you were just talking about the anthology a little bit. You're asking me about it. Yeah, you're right. There's 9 stories in it. It features 9 writers, 9 artists, 7 colorists, and 6 letterers. So
Wow.
it's going to be an 88-page anthology. It's done. The book is done. The cover is being worked on by Eric Nineltowski. Eric did Shadow Sentry, which is his own indie creation. His art is just phenomenal, and he's taking my 10 characters that appear in this book and doing an homage cover to an old West Coast Avengers cover. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And like Gerald said, he's going to be on my show on Wednesday, and we're going to launch the project with Gerald as my co-host. And we're going to interview a whole bunch of people. We're going to have as many as 9 guests on the show with us. So
Very cool.
it'll be a lot of fun for the launch stream. So for any of you who are watching this on the replay, if you'd like to sign up, what will happen is if you sign up before we launch, you'll have the opportunity to get a discount, a secret discount tier, so you can get the anthology for a few dollars off, as my way of thanking you for showing interest in the project beforehand. So yeah, we're launching on the 26th. A lot of guests, and I should tell you a little bit about the characters in the book. We have Bot 42, who is an indestructible biometric organ transplant unit. And something goes awry in the program, and one of the bot units gets sentience, and it goes from there. I don't want to give spoilers away. There are mermaids in the book called Halia and Undine, and their names H and O, so they call themselves H2O, because they're a duo. Sovereign is like a super powerful character. Lone Shark is an underwater super being. Let's see, who else is? Oh, Sakura, which is Japanese for cherry blossom, but she's a whole lot more dangerous. She wields katana wakizashi, so she's got a daisho that she wields. There is, let's see, who else? Oh, the Scarlet Archer has his origin story there, and Night Mist is sort of an espionage agent. Just lots of characters, and to be honest with you, although I love to talk about my own writing, like I said, there's a lot of writers involved in this book as well. So we've got some ideas that spawned from other people who I'm given an opportunity to do a short story for Dojo Kun Comics. To tell you a little bit about my history, I have 6 years publishing. I've published 12 floppy comics on my own. And then last year, I crowdfunded a book called Siamese, which was 120 pages. It was the first 4 issues of Siamese. So it collected those 4 issues. So that's already been fulfilled. The only people who haven't received that yet are just a few Australian customers, because boy, the postage to Australia is just killing us. When I first did the project, it would be $25 to send a single comic book to the Australian customers or backers. Sorry, customers is a bad one. No, trust me, that's just the beginning, Vic. $25 is normal. Now it's $75 to send them the book. Yeah, so I'm actually taking a loss, because that's certainly not what I charged my backers or asked for them to back. So yeah, before that happened, I'll be honest, Siamese broke even. Okay. It was my first campaign. I got about 125 backers. I had challenge coins on the campaign, which were pretty pricey, and they were pretty amazing.
Look at those.
If you want to solo me out,
that's cool.
Yeah, let me solo you out. Yep, there you go.
So this is the front of the coin, and then the back is a little self-serving, but Dojo Kun Comics.
Those turned out great.
And for those of you who don't know, when I'm talking about this anthology, the title is Toro Tales, and the Toro is the stone lantern that's in my company's logo. So so all the tchotchkes and all that added up, and the project broke even until the postage hit. And when the postage became a problem, so it's a little bit of a loss. But I'll be honest with you, most indie comic creators who are a virtual unknown in the indie comics community can expect to break even or take a small loss at the beginning. Their first campaign, maybe even their second campaign too. But what you're doing is number one, you're establishing a fan base. People who have got their books in their hands get the opportunity to see, are you any good? Are your artists any good? And if so, they'll want to back you the next time. Then the fact that they've got your book in their hands is a huge endearing factor toward you as a creator, because, okay, this guy, he seemed personable on stream. The art looked great. His writing sounded like it would be good. But here I have the book, so I can be confident that he's also going to fulfill. I'm not going to be waiting years and wondering, am I ever going to get this thing? I think that there's been a very big push lately to have a lot of the book or all of the book done before launching a campaign. Not everybody can do that because we're in different financial situations. Sometimes you have to remember that crowdfunding might be necessary to pay for the book itself.
Right.
For Toro Tales, these are stories that I paid for beforehand. So the book is done. The only part of this that isn't done would be a few more pages in the ash can, which comes along as a supplemental add-on, and some of the like the stickers and the magnets and things like that. So those things, though, they don't take a whole lot of time. Certainly not as much as like an art portion of your campaign does. So this book is done. And I'm excited about the launch, which will be in less than a week now. It's getting a little nervous about that. But the sign-up page is available if you want to show some interest in that and maybe get an opportunity to get that discount tier. It's on Indiegogo only. And it is, again, it's Toro Tales, Toro Tales, #1. If you search that in the search bar in Indiegogo, it will come up, and you can type your email in there, and you'll be ready to get that discount here when we launch.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to go look that up right now. You don't have that link that you can just drop into the comment field, do you? If not, I'm looking it up right now. So
okay, all right, yeah, no, I don't have it.
Okay, let me get it. And just like you said, if you sign up, you're going to have access to a special discount code. You have to do this before the 26th, because you want to get on the mailing list, so you can get a secret code to get a discount tier that only people that sign up can get access to. Is that correct?
Right, yes. Now, some people wait until they have hundreds of people sign up before they launch their project. But I want to get going on launching this, and that's largely because I intend to have 4 different campaigns this year alone. So I'm going to have 2 campaigns here at the beginning of the year that I plan to fulfill in late summer. And then I'm going to have 2 campaigns in the late summer, early fall, which I planned to fulfill by the end of the year. And, oftentimes the best laid plans go awry, but this is my intent. And I'm going to have a lot of this done ahead of time, as much as I can get done ahead of time. Just because I know that waiting is difficult. And, when you're not going to a local comic book store anymore because the mainstream has let you down, and you're going to indie comics on crowdfunding, you want the best opportunity to get the books as soon as you can, because when you back something like this, the money's gone, and now you got to wait for the product to come to you. My look of concern here is I thought I had changed that initial artwork there, so I'm surprised to see that's still.
Oh, really?
The cover that they're showing.
Okay, and
so that's okay. The cover there is the cover for 4 of the stories that will be in this anthology. And like I said, now that cover's there by on the left is by Josh Allar, and on the right it's various artists who did those pinups. But the new cover will be Eric Ninoltowski, and it'll be something different. It'll be an homage to a different cover.
Okay, so I'm going to put in the comments field how you can. Let me pop this up. Let's put it here. So this is the Go Support Dojo Kun Comics Indiegogo here. It's in the comments field, so obviously you can't click on the screen, but you can go in there and you can see this page. And you can always type in Toro Tales if you go to Indiegogo, and it's the only Toro Tales there. But the important thing is for everybody to make sure that they sign up so that they can, let's see, here it is. There's the email sign up. So that way you can get access to that special discount code. Got to do it before the 26th.
And it doesn't cost you anything to sign up. If you later decide not to back, that's okay. But if you could tweet this out or post this on Facebook, however, in your socials, word of mouth goes a long way in these days.
Yes, it does. It does. We want it to go viral. We want it to be so that when on the 26th, when it launches officially, we want it to be funded within 24 hours, if not sooner.
Yeah,
let's say it gets funded in the first hour. Yeah.
Listen to this guy. He's got the idea.
Exactly. But yeah, when we were just talking like less than half an hour ago about this particular thing, and had you on the shows, Dojo Kun Comics, and we were talking about the lantern. I thought it was really interesting about why we're just for those of us who can't speak Japanese, we're just gonna say Toro tales. But I think you had like you busted out your Japanese knowledge here. You want to talk a little bit about the actual correct pronunciation?
Okay, it's To'urou. That's how it's actually To'urou tales.
To'urou. I can't say it.
To'urou.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
What he said.
I learned a little bit of Japanese having been part of a dojo for years, and that's what I named my comic book company after, is the Dojo Kun, the 5 rules of the karate dojo. Yes. The fifth one is Hitotsu Jikanku Kensei no Sutamori Koto.
Vic, you got that right? I totally got that.
So, okay, if you could spell that for me, Jiro. I'm gonna.
You're asking the wrong. I'm not that kind of Asian. I don't know. Don't ask me any math questions. Don't ask me any stuff.
I wasn't going there at all.
No, I'm just saying. I'll say it. If you want me to draw something, I'll try and draw something. But don't ask me to pronounce anything.
Oh, that's funny. One thing about the Dojo Kun is all 5 of them start with the word hitotsu, which means first. Which I think is pretty cool, because basically what they're saying is all 5 of these rules have equal importance. We could say any one of them first because they all have that much gravitas.
So are these rules something that could be just aside from the martial arts? They could be
absolutely.
They applicable to life. You want to go deep?
Absolutely.
Let's dig deep. Let's talk about these 5 things.
So the rules are: seek perfection of character.
Ooh.
Endeavor in your life. So seek to do things, create things.
Yes.
Respect others.
These are great.
Be faithful. So that be faithful means not just to your spouse, your family, perhaps your God, your own community, your own, maybe even your own dreams. There's a country song out. I don't even remember the name of it, but what's so cool about it is he says, "Go chase your dreams. They're not going to chase you back." I'm like, wow, that's absolutely true. Cool. Very clever in the lyrics.
Country music. Everybody knocks country music. Country music. It's like Confucius can't write better words to live by than country music, right?
And then the last rule in the Dojo Kun is avoid violent behavior, which seems on the surface to be contradictory, because after all, you're learning a martial art. You're being taught how to fight. But on the other hand, in my martial art, which is Shotokan Karate, Jinshin Funakoshi, the creator, he said the greatest fight ever won is the fight not begun. So his whole way of thinking is we always want to avoid it, but better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener during a war. So you need to be prepared for worst case scenario. In fact, many of the martial arts taught you how to fight with a bow staff, but that's because they would all have rakes or shovels or hoes in their farming. And if they were attacked, that's all they had to fight with. So they would either learn to fight with what they had on hand or with their hands.
Okay.
In fact, karate means empty hand.
I'm getting schooled here, Vic. Are you learning? I'm learning all this stuff. After you said all that, I was gonna say, you know what? I don't know if you guys are a fan of Cobra Kai. I've been watching Cobra Kai, and I'm gonna have to say Miyagi-Do Karate kind of ripped off your instructor, because I think one of the tenets I think was really funny was one of the tenets was not be there. I think that's what he sort of said. Not be there. I think it sounds really shallow, but it's meaning that like if there's something that's violent or there's something that's just a potential like conflict, don't be there. You know,
Right.
like don't go looking for trouble. So
de-escalate, remove yourself from the situation.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's associated with Cobra Kai and the show that you're talking about. But there's a video that's been out about 6 years now that talks all about how the actual hero of Karate Kid was not Danny LaRusso.
Yes.
It was Joey Lawrence. Or, it was not Joey Lawrence. Sorry. Johnny Lawrence.
Yeah. How you doing? Oh no, that's not Johnny Lawrence. Johnny Lawrence. Who's
Joey Lawrence?
Joey Lawrence.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa. Yeah. I was doing Friends. I was thinking of Joey from Friends. Yeah. Right. But yeah, that is so true. I think I saw that YouTube video. It's like Daniel. Yeah, Daniel kind of like he's the one who instigated some of the conflict. And
he instigated a lot of it.
Yes.
Johnny actually acted in self-defense most of the time. Yeah. A couple of times he knocked Danny to the ground and then tried to leave, and Danny got up and re-escalated.
He hit him.
Johnny was trying to get away, and it's like, wow, you know what? If you think about it, and then the real, and I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek, the real kicker is that at the end, he used an illegal kick to win that match.
Oh, really? I didn't see that part of it. What was the
kick where he's doing his crane thing where he does the kick to the face?
Yes.
No, disqualified.
You can't do that. Yeah.
You're disqualified.
I actually remember I was talking with my brother-in-law about that. Even his crane kick, the way the crane kick is supposed to happen is that you do it so fast that your foot that's raised doesn't actually touch the ground, right? I think that's the way it's
right. But that's actually not the one you kick with.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that I think that everybody was so caught up in the moment that we realized that he actually doesn't even do the kick correctly, right? I think in the movie. But I'm not a karate aficionado, so to me I was like, oh yeah, well whatever. It's just he just did the crane kick. But I think that's it's neat because I think that's why I love Cobra Kai is that I think they're in their fourth season. Is it fourth or third season? Fourth season now, and it does tell that further story, and it's doing it. Not in the sense of like doing a movie, doing it in episodes. It's allowing things to breathe and be able to tell all the perspectives. I remember watching, all the episodes up to this fourth season. You get to see where all the characters have gone, where they've grown up to, like other members of Cobra Kai. What happened to Chosen? What happened to trying to remember what her name is. I can't think. What his love interest in Karate Kid 2. All these things. And then you hear all the little pop references, everything from hair metal bands to, I think in this past season, they were bringing up Peter Cetera in Chicago about them being like the great.
That's from the movie.
Yes. And which is
Peter Cetera's from the movie.
Which is kind of funny because it's sort of like the whole Deadpool thing, it's sort of like referencing things that happened that only the audience would kind of see, but really they're now in the series. I know it was just really, really, it's fun if you grew up during that time period and to kind of see where everything is kind of gone. And sure, some of it is campy and sure, some stuff is over dramatized and stuff like that, but it's just fun. It was so fun to watch.
It's escapist entertainment.
Yeah.
Which is what we're looking for. In the
best way, and it's done enough that every season they get a bigger budget and they can kind of like so things get more polished and stuff like that. Some stuff is over the top.
Well, it started out on YouTube, right? It was like a YouTube show, and now it's moved to like Netflix.
Yes.
One of the scenes that just came up on YouTube that I rewatched was the scene where Danny fights all those hockey players,
yes!
And he's like, so after he's done and he wins, Johnny comes back and he's got something to eat and drink. And he says to Johnny, where were you? He's like, not be there.
Yes. That's it. And that's the thing that's so fun because I think now they realize, it's not like one Eagle Fang karate. Or Cobra Kai karate. I know it's not like it's any, I think this season they really wanted to show that, it's the I'm going to say the Bruce Lee style of fighting, which is the Jeet Kune Do, which is learning to take the strengths of different martial arts styles to make it a stronger one. And I think that's kind of like with this one. It's like Eagle Fan karate has its merits, and Miyagi Do karate has its own merits as well. And I think this season was talking about how each Daniel finds himself recognizing that and doing things that Eagle Fang or Cobra Kai kind of does, and then you find Johnny doing things too, that embody the whole Miyagi Do karate. So I thought that was really fun because it allows you to say that, hey, it's no longer an elite thing where you can only do one. And
right.
But I love that. That's that no be there. It's like I was no be there. Daniel wasn't there at all. But yeah, I totally geeked out about that. But as you being a martial artist yourself, do you watch these TV series or even like any action movie that claims to have martial arts in it? Do you like watch it and go, that's not how it works? Han Solo with the Force, like, that's not how the Force works. That's not how martial arts works. Do you find yourself like talking to the screen and going, that's
every
not how
once
it
in a
works?
while, but I try to not be so critical. Like, to sound like I'm changing the subject, but I'm not. A lot of folks were really hard on the movie Green Lantern, right? But I went there expecting them to take things their own way, and I didn't get all upset about it. So, like you're saying, when I watch a show that has martial arts in it, if I see something that I think that's not really how that works, I try not to, get too bothered by it. I just want to be entertained, so I let myself be entertained.
And I think that's a good way to look at it, because I think that if we're so overly critical of our entertainment, then it's like nothing is going to be good enough, right? If it's not super realistic, or if it's not exactly like the comic book that they're adapting, or if it's not like the actors look 100% or the actresses look 100% like their other counterpart in the comics or animation or whatever, then that's just going to take away from it. Just sort of you can accept it for what it is. You can kind of like be a little critical of it, but don't hate on it just because one little aspect isn't 100% there. Right?
Although I do have to say,
you go to a movie
go ahead,
you go to a movie to be entertained, and I mean, real life right now is so bad that you don't want to get even madder because you didn't like a movie. Go in there, enjoy yourself. Like I always say this, I go in, I shut off my brain because I want to forget about everything else for those 2 hours. And even if the movie's not the best, usually there's something enjoyable about it. You can be like, well, I didn't really care for it, but like this part was cool. Or I like what they did here. Then you go
that's
back
a good way to
outside
look
to the
at
real life, and you're like, so horrible right now.
back to the grind. Yeah. I did want to say though, it's amazing to me that so many cosplayers are so much more accurate than the movies are. I mean, these movies, they have, multi-million-dollar budgets and they can't get the costumes right.
And you make a good point, because with social media these days and the way that everybody can do fan films and cosplay and stuff like that, it's amazing the talent that you're kind of seeing there. And I've like seen some fan films and I'm like, wow, maybe DC should like check out this fan film and maybe kind of like figure out how they can kind of do it. And it is, some of them are rough, but some of them have some really good,
Have
concepts.
You seen the one about Gambit?
No, which one was that?
There's a fan film out there about Gambit. If you can find that, it's long too. It's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes long.
Oh, wow.
It's fantastic. I mean, I was honestly looking for it. Like, is this real? Is this, because it was so good? I'm like, is this canon? Is this part of the MCU? But no, it's not. It's just a fan film. There is a big name star in it though. Eric Roberts is in it.
Oh, he's
one of the bad guys.
He did a lot of martial arts movies in the 80s too, I remember. What was that movie that he did? Shoot. But I recognize the name. He kind of has like a...
Well, he was in The Dark Knight.
He was in The Dark Knight.
He was...
Shoot. Yeah.
Go,
keep on going. I'm going to have to go.
Do you want me to go find it?
Two-Face... Yeah, yes. Two-Face kills him in The Dark Knight.
Yes, yes.
Spoiler alert. The Dark Knight.
Oh, well, you know what? Just a few minutes ago, Gerald spoiled Fight Club for me. So.
Oh no!
Oh man!
You haven't seen Fight Club?
I have not seen it. No.
Oh shoot! Oh my gosh, that is one of the. I think
it's old. You're probably safe.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah, you definitely go watch it. It was one of my favorite, both Edward Norton and Brad Pitt movies, because it had such a and who was the director? Was it Fincher? Was it David Fincher who directed that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just a stylish, like, well done movie. And of course, I'm gonna have to say Vic made a really good point. You go into a movie and you just want to be entertained. I think it's like when you go into a movie, you kind of want to leave certain expectations at the door, but there are also types of movies where sometimes I want to be challenged a little bit. Not challenged, and it was like, like it was just poorly directed or poorly written, and I had to like really strain to figure out what the heck is going on. But movies that maybe are thought-provoking, movies that make you think a little bit. And Fight Club is an example of a movie where it was stylish, it had a story, and it had a big reveal at the end. But those are the kind of movies like I think Memento. If you guys have you watched Memento? I'm not going to spoil that one. Go watch Memento. Go watch Memento. I like movies that are that can give you, that make the audience kind of like really want to pay attention, to kind of like solve it, or maybe when it comes to that reveal at the end, it's not a gotcha reveal. It's one of those things like, wow, I never would have thought that's where it would go. And there are different types of movies that are successful at. I'm going to say one of the movies that just isn't successful at is like The Last Jedi, where everything about that movie was just to be contrarian to the fans. It's like it didn't take you anywhere new. It just basically, I don't know. I didn't want to even keep on going on the hate train, that goes along with that movie. But when you compare a movie like that, where it's just everything is what's the word? Subversive. I think that's the word, that it's
subverting
like,
expectations.
Yeah, just to like make people do something that's completely contrary to what people expect, versus being very thoughtful and coming up with a really unique take on a situation that you never would have saw coming.
Well, one movie that did it very well would be Sixth Sense.
Yes. What's in the box? Come on, man.
No, that's 7.
Oh, was that 7?
The Sixth Sense. The little boy.
Yes. See, I just totally screwed it up. We're gonna have to edit this out, Vic, because I just embarrassed myself. The Sixth Sense was Bruce Willis, right?
Yes.
And yes, that was one of M. Night. I'm gonna mispronounce his name. Is it Shyamalan? Or anyway, that was one of his great movies. The kicker at the end. And then it makes you feel like you should have observed it, because then it like rehashes all
when
the
you
indicators.
Go back and look at all the scenes, you're like, oh, of course.
Yeah, that totally blew my mind. Hey, Roy.
Hey, Roy.
Yeah. I'm glad people are starting to come in here. Come join us. Chat with us.
One of the things that you said at the beginning when I came on is that you also wanted Vic to give an opportunity, or to have an opportunity to tell me about what he does.
Oh, yes. Vic, I know you hate doing this, but
I do not like talking about myself at all.
But I hate to put him on the spot. But I Vic, you don't have to give all the details, but I would love for you just to introduce yourself to you're the newest member to Comics Cast, and if anybody hasn't seen you yet, I would just like people to know a little bit about you, so you don't have to go through all that stuff, because I will definitely talk you up even more. So just sort of like give us. Just sort of tell a little bit, so Brian knows a little bit more about you. Yeah, the quick rundown.
I am a artist, inker, colorist. I guess
writer.
Pretty new. Writer. Well, trying to write. I can't say I'm a writer yet. You would see the way I write. Even I'm like, what? But just putting myself out there. Trying to see what happens. I've just recently started to get try to put more of myself out there. I opened commissions just recently. It's been like I haven't done that for a while. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Okay, so what you need to do then, Vic, is send me your commission rate card at Dojo Kun Comics at gmail.com.
Okay.
because
I will do that.
As I was telling Gerald before we came on this show, I have about 160 characters, so I'm sure I could find something I need to pin up.
I'm gonna say that I can basically, whenever that collaboration happens, I'm gonna say, yeah, it was me that put Brian and Vic together, and that's why you got the superstar character that's been created. And it was because of on January 21st, I put you guys two together. But yeah, he has a commission list on there. You guys, just become friends, and you can see what it is. I know I don't want to make Vic blush anymore, so we won't go. We won't talk more about that until 10 minutes later when I bring it up again. But we want to look at this phenomenal art. I wanted to pull this up here. Brian, just take a look at this. This is a Moon Knight here. But I just thought this was funny. This showed up in the comment field. Marshawn is watching along with us. She goes, Gerald forgot rule number 1. Do not talk about Fight Club. Yeah, exactly, Marshawn.
Well, technically he didn't. Oh, yeah, he did.
He did. He screwed it up. And not only that, he embarrassed himself by confusing the 6 cents and 7. They had numbers in it. 6 and 7.
At least he wasn't like, first rule of Fight Club is what's in the box. You didn't do it like that.
So yeah. And so like here, Roy is like talking here. Vic, you're awesome, dude. Don't hate promoting yourself. Ha ha ha. Yes, don't. This is what I'm gonna. I heard this from a good friend of mine, Philip Russert, and I heard it also from Brian here. Is when we were talking, who's gonna be your cheerleader for your own projects? Who's going to be the best cheerleader? And that's going to be yourself, right? And yes, there's a degree of humility, and you may feel like, oh my gosh, am I just being too over the top and bombastic and just sort of like always plugging my stuff all the time? The truth of the matter is no, you got to do it. You're not going over the top. Now there's a way you do it, I think, so that you don't come across as being completely like crass and obnoxious. But
there's a big difference between confidence and arrogance.
There you go. That's the word that I was looking for, and that's why I'm not a writer. That's why Brian has he can like definitely tell the words better than me. But yeah, I think you got to be your own cheerleader. You got to like talk yourself up. That's what this Friday Freestyle is about too. We can geek and nerd out, but I want our guests. If you want to come in here, we want to give you an opportunity to give you your your soapbox that you can stand on and talk about whatever you're doing, or if you want to draw along with us, show your drawing skills, or if you're writing, talk about your story.
As a writer, you've seen my drawing skills, and they're pretty low.
No, they were awesome. I had to, Vic. I'm going to go back and I'm going to share with you when Brian was on the show, and Brian, for a while after we did a few, a few consecutive weeks when we had other guests, you came on the show. I mean, you came in as an audience participant, and you were drawing along with us.
Yeah.
And I had to say that I was impressed. I think that for you to come out of your shell, come out of your comfort zone, and do something like if I was going to try and write something, oh my gosh, I don't know if there's a writing equivalent to stick figures, but I'm sure if there was, I would definitely that would be definitely it. But I'm just telling you that the stuff that you were doing were not stick figures. You were, you had some excellent compositions, and for somebody who doesn't draw all the time, that to me, I had so much respect for you because
thank you.
You put yourself out there. You took, like I said, you came out of your comfort zone, and then you shared it with people. Some people will kind of do it, but then they'll kind of hide it and until they feel like they're at a certain level. And to me, I had so much respect for you to do that, and
thank you.
Really love that.
Well, you know what though? Oftentimes, Gerald, you always poo-poo your own artistic ability. You don't want to show what you drew on your clipboard or whatever.
No, yeah,
your stuff has a gritty style. I mean, it's got I don't want to keep using
wonky,
the word gritty.
Wonky. It's
no,
dirty,
it's
dirty, wonky.
Well, Yeah, but that dirty, I don't know, realism, I think is what I'm trying to say. You did a couple of characters from my book that will be launching next month. I won't get into all that right now because I've talked your ear off. But you did some characters of my book that's coming out, and I thought you did a great job.
Well, thank you, thank you. I think if I think I have this thing where it's like I want to stay. My comfort zone is just being a hobbyist illustrator, and it's preventing me from like doing what Vic does, or like what a lot of our guests that we've had on there is finishing it. You know, taking it to that next level, inking it, coloring it, and making it a finished piece.
Yeah,
And
I asked you to do something for one of my books, and you're like, I don't know.
No, in fact, let's go ahead and call it what it is. You mentioned to me about something, and I want to do it, and it was that really cool composite where you had all these female protagonists, all these female characters,
yes.
And I just didn't have time. I didn't get around to doing it, but I so wanted to, and maybe that's on my laundry list of things that I want to do. Things that I want to. So you probably will have this book. It'll be like 20 years from now when it's a successful movie, already has its third. You know, it'll have a sequel already, and then I'll say, "Hey, Brian, remember 20 years ago you did this thing? I finished it."
I'll be like, wait, who is this?
That's exactly it. It's like you're gonna be like this. You know, you're gonna be waving to me down from
I'll be like, you know what, buddy, talk to my agent. No.
It's like, yeah, I already got an artist. His name's Vic Medina. You probably heard
kidding.
of him.
I'm not like that at all. I'm just kidding.
I know you're not. No, I totally get it. You know, we're it's fun when it's nothing too. So we can laugh, have a good time about stuff too. So
hey,
I totally get it.
You talked a few minutes ago about geeking out. Now I put in the private chat the link to that Gambit. Now you're not probably going to be able to play very much of it if you play it, but you'll see that right from the get-go, the acting is good. If you can get, I think you can get to a fight scene pretty early on, and you'll see how good that how well they do.
Right. Let me see if I can pull that up, and maybe you can when I show it, you can tell me where to go with it in terms of like. But this is it a fairly long
Yeah, it is. It's like 15 to 20 minutes maybe.
Okay. Oh shoot. Because it's gonna put all these ads in it, so I don't know if let me see if I can
maybe you shouldn't. Maybe just if you could just provide the link to the folks.
Yeah, let me do that.
That might be the best.
Okay, so
but I tell you what, folks, it's really, really good.
Okay, so let's go ahead
and I'm also
check that out.
Also dating myself as being an old guy because I keep using the word folks.
I use that word too. I think it I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
I don't feel so bad then because you're a lot younger than me.
That's the big thing is that people think that I'm younger, but I'm actually older. So yeah. So
I don't think you're older than me, bud.
Well, you know what? Age is not a factor to be a nerd or a geek or to love the craft that we're in. You know,
I never plan to grow up.
Yes. But I did put that into the comment field, and so people can, and this is, you said this is the on this particular YouTube, this is the link that you sent me. This is the one where it's a Gambit fan movie, right?
Right. It's called Gambit Play for Keeps.
Play for Keeps. Okay. So is this the actor who plays Gambit, is he better than Channing Tatum?
Oh yeah.
Because I heard that's. Of course, I think the movie has been poo-pooed. You know, to quote you, it's been poo-pooed. It's no longer. It's never been. I think it was going to be developed, and I think Channing backed out of it. I think whoever wrote it said, you know, well,
I think because didn't Disney buy Fox and stuff like that, so they decided like no, we're good.
Oh yeah, when
I
Fox,
think that's why it got.
Okay, I see. So it was more because
it was around the time when they were trying to finish up New Mutants, and then they wanted to try to get that started before everything went through. But I believe they weren't. That's why.
Even if they did, it's like chalk it up to the multiverse. That's what I was going to say. So while we're talking about that, Brian, to me, you're an author. You have books under your belt already. You have comics. What do you think about this whole move for everything being multiverse? To me, I feel it's kind of like lazy. It's sort of like we can kind of like retcon everything. We can say this happened in another universe, and therefore we can totally discount motivations, character development, etc., etc. Just throw that out the window, and because it was in the multiverse, it was another character. I mean, do you think that that's just a lazy way of doing things, or?
I think that's very lazy. Plus, too, it gives you a way out before you even start the story. You can write things that would, under normal circumstances, have significant impact, and then you don't have to worry about it because anything you write, you can just say, "Oh, well, that wasn't really the character." The big example to my favorite character is She-Hulk. They in an issue, I don't remember what the issue is. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on that, but they show her in bed with Juggernaut, and people keep saying, I don't want Juggernaut's sloppy seconds and all that, and She-Hulk,
that's so bad.
Keeps saying, "What are you talking about? I never slept." So anyway, it turns out that it was a She-Hulk from another dimension who did that. Yeah, and then she admits it to the 616 universe She-Hulk. She's like, "Yeah, that was me." It's like,
that's so.
Are you kidding me? That's so lame.
Well, not only that, it's the subject that they're using.
Yeah, that too.
It's like that's what you want to use as your example of a multiverse. I don't know.
She-Hulk is known for being promiscuous, but now is that because it was this other dimension She-Hulk? I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, you were talking about Moon Knight, and are they going to do well with the television series? Well, She-Hulk's coming out later this year as a television series as well, and I'm probably the biggest She-Hulk fan you'll ever meet. I collect all things She-Hulk. I have her every appearance since 1980 when she debuted in February.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned. I'm worried because I'm so disillusioned with the mainstream, Marvel and DC. I worry that they're not going to handle it well. I think that what they're going to do is they're going to break the fourth wall all of the time. Yeah. I think they're going to make her the butt of a joke all of the time, which I really don't like at all. I don't like how they do that with Deadpool. I don't want them to do that with She-Hulk, but I expect they're going to.
Well, I think what you're talking about, it reminds me, and you could correct me if I'm wrong on this, but because back in the 80s, I remember when I think this is her second title, because I think she had a miniseries before that, but John Byrne, when he relaunched it, and everybody says, "Oh, Deadpool, he was the whole thing with that whole fourth wall type thing." I think the John Byrne comic kind of did that too. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it was more of a comedy thing where it was meant to like poke at like comic censorship, I think, because during that time period, John Byrne was, I think he was like the biggest name, with like Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the X-Men, and then he was doing when they had the Comics Code, all that stuff was there, and then he would do some the indie movement back then when he would self-publish some of his other stuff that wasn't Marvel related, and I think when he did the She-Hulk thing, he kind of like said, well, this is my kind of like satire of the industry, using She-Hulk's story. Is that correct? I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
So people who say that Deadpool broke the fourth wall first, they're way off because number one, She-Hulk and Animal Man, so that's Marvel and DC, both broke the fourth wall at the same time.
There you go.
Both of them broke the fourth wall. Like you said, during the John Byrne reign, which, yes, that was the second series. Her first series, The Savage She-Hulk, was in the 80s, but at the beginning of the 80s. But I have to be honest with you, decades before that, Superman broke the fourth wall in almost every issue. In the final panel, he would say something about secret identity, and they would show him look at the reader and wink.
Oh,
so he would make comments at the end of each issue, almost all of the time, that only the reader would understand.
Like a PSA?
No, like it would be something like, "Gee, Lois, I can't imagine why you didn't know that Superman wasn't there." And then they show him face the reader and wink. So as if he knew all along we were there.
Was that like a golden, Silver Age, I guess, or what was this like? When was what?
Yeah, that would have been. It wouldn't have been way at the beginning, so it would have been during the time like Ross Andrew, Dick Giordano. When they were Kurt Swan, maybe, when they were drawing and writing the comics. But yeah, you'll find that he did that decades before She-Hulk and Animal Man.
Yeah, I guess everybody wants to give credit to Deadpool because he's the guy that's of the moment. Everybody wants to have Deadpool or Wolverine and everything, right?
I'm so done. I'm so done with both of those guys.
That's right. Yeah, I think that between the multiverse and the fourth wall, I think those are the lazy writing type things. For like the fourth wall is kind of like I'm gonna get my cheap laughs, comedic. Like here, I can add some comedy by breaking the fourth wall, and then the multiverse is just the lazy writing to like solve anything. And this is one thing that I have a lot of these discussions with my brother-in-law. We talk about these things, and it's sort of like when you watch things, especially with the multiverse, it's like nothing is of consequence anymore, right? And anything that whether a hero or heroine sacrifices themselves for something, a great cause or to save someone's life, it doesn't mean anything. We can go back to like Darth Vader saving Luke in Return of the Jedi by throwing by throwing the Emperor down that thermal exhaust thing or whatever. It's sort of like, that was such a thing, seeing that powerful moment where he gets to talk to his father unmasked, and then he has to do the funeral pyre when he passes away. And then you watch the sequel trilogy and it's like, nope, all that stuff doesn't matter. it's like I was like, what were they thinking, that type of stuff. And then what they're doing now with the Justice League with DC, they're announcing they're going to kill off the entire Justice League, the Trinity. They're going to kill Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, along with some other members of the Justice League.
Green Lantern and Aquaman.
And Zatanna is a part of that too, I think.
Oh.
And I think that they're going to do. I read a little review, and they were like saying they're doing it on the anniversary of Superman's death too, in the comics. And I'm like, you can't get any more cliche or, because everybody knows Superman came back. So what you're like telegraphing everything that it's not of any importance. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say that even within the movies where the Jedis die, they come back as ghosts like within minutes, and there they are. They look fine, they're healthy, they're smiling. It's like, so then you're not really living without them now, are you?
No, you're not. And they keep on giving them things as a ghost. It's like, it's one thing to talk to the living, but then you have like Luke or Yoda. Yoda calls down like lightning and starts laughing about burning the tree, that sacred Jedi tree. And then you have Luke in the Rise of Skywalker. He actually catches the lightsaber, as Rey spoke. Spoiler alert. I'm sorry if you haven't watched any of those two movies, both those movies.
Well, even if you haven't, anyway. Don't bother.
Exactly. but you're right. And I just popped up here. Roy made a good comment. You can't really pull off a good, meaningful plot twist in a multiverse. You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's why I pick up comics and just look at the pictures.
Exactly. It's so funny. Vic and I had this conversation. It's like, one thing, there's several reasons why mainstream comics, gotten kind of why indie is picking up, right? Sure, indie comics can be more expensive just because they don't have the huge print runs, right? But you almost feel like you get more of an investment in a completely new story, a new take, a new perspective on things versus mainstream comics where nothing is of any consequence, and it's somewhat still expensive if you think about it. They're really expensive, and then you just like think, well, what am I, buying anymore? It's like the story doesn't seem like it has any impact anymore. So Vic and I have we have favorite artists, and we will just follow the artist, and just to look at those pretty pictures, which is sad because we're like going, well, maybe we're just being like we were when we were in the little kids. We're just looking at the pretty pictures, the funny books or whatever. But it's not that. We want something that's engaging. We want a meaningful story, and we want really good art. And that's in indie comics. Indie comics have that appeal to me.
Well, in addition, with indie comics, you're investing in helping getting these projects done.
Mm-hmm.
You are you have the opportunity to talk directly with the creator in many cases.
Mm-hmm.
And the creator's not going to tell you, well, my book's not for you then, or, don't buy my book, or any of that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
If you have critiques or constructive criticism to offer, many indie creators will take it to heart and listen to you. And I can't say that they'll absolutely make the change that you're suggesting, but they'll definitely listen and take it under consideration and accept what you're saying as constructive.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And where are you going to get that? I guess social media maybe gives an opportunity to talk to some of the bigger known creators, but you don't know if that's actually going to happen. But I think with indie creators, like and follow them, and you can have that conversation with them. In fact, who knows, if you're a aspiring creator yourself, you might be able to even work with them. I mean, I think that's been a somewhat of a leveling field. It used to be, if you wanted to break into the industry, in the stories that I've heard, you'd have to go to cons, or you'd have to wait for official art calls or whatever, and then show your portfolio or show stories. And the only way that you could do that is by going to the actual company or meeting them at a convention. Now you can submit things over the internet, but I think from indie comics you can really make that connection. I think it's much more personal, I think.
So years ago, I wrote a She-Hulk script, and I was going to try to, give it to Marvel and see if they would accept me as a writer. And I poured over their site. It took me a long, long time to find it, but there's a little tiny paragraph at the bottom of the page that says, you don't. Basically, they say, you go get published and we'll find you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, I'll go get published. So I started my own company. And yeah, I'm not anywhere near on the order of them, at least not now.
Right.
But since then, the advent of indie comics has become such a renaissance that I'm not sure if Marvel ever contacted me if I'd accept the job there. I'm not sure I would.
I love that you just said that, because you're coming from a writer, creator, publisher point of view, and I'm going to use Vic. I think it's about time for me to plug you again. I'm going to talk.
It's been 10 minutes.
It's been about 10 minutes at least. Vic is also one of these. When I discovered his art, or when we talked, it was like at the beginning of last year, but things happened and I actually didn't get a chance to follow up with him until the latter part of last year. And when I did, I remembered when I saw his artwork and I was like going, this guy's going to break out. He's just it's going to happen. And that what he's doing right now is very similar to you. It's like, if you're a creator and you're creative, if you want to do something, you don't have to sit on your hands. You don't have to wait for the so-called system to recognize you. Like you said, you created Dojo Kun Comics because that's your outlet now. You don't have to wait for somebody to pick up your story, pick up your books. I'm just going to do it myself. It's like Thanos. Fine, I'll do it myself. That's Vic too. Vic is the same way. Vic is like, I was talking to Vic, and here's my plug for him again, is that he has stories. I mean, he can do. Look at this Moon Knight that he's doing right now. He can do these type of characters, but Vic is not sitting on his hands too. He wants to have his own IPs. He wants to have his own intellectual property, his own original characters, and he's not waiting. He's producing. And I got to take a lesson from both you guys. I got to do the same thing. Move from being just a hobbyist, being somebody who's just appreciating all the creatives that I get to interact with, and then I want to be with you guys. I want to join your club. I want to be part of that fight club.
Well, I can tell you too,
the awesome thing is having all these people, especially like for you, Jarrell, you talk to different people every week. You could, you pick their brain and you're learning all these things. I mean, I've done two shows with you, and already I've been like, oh, I like that. I'm gonna, put something of what they did into my artwork. Like, you're learning something every time, and then you put it into what you're doing. And that's the cool thing about talking with artists, because everybody's technique or just how they go about building a page is totally different. It really is. I've seen so many times people drawing, and I'm like, that's not how I would do it at all. But I'm gonna try that because it looks cool. It's probably easier than what I'm doing, and you learn from everybody, and that's what's awesome about like the indie community. They're not afraid to share what they know with
good
you.
Point.
Right.
Good point.
Somewhat recently, Jarrell was trying to put together a show, and I was going to be on it. I'm sorry it fell through for various reasons.
Oh.
But three writers were getting together and talking about how we approach writing our comics.
Yes.
And all three of us approach it differently. And you might think, how many different ways is there to write a comic book? And it turns out that, and this was completely unintentional, I think, that he found three people who were writers that all came at it from a different way.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I think that's still in the back of my mind. I want to do that show eventually. So stay tuned. That kind of show still might happen. And I'm going to say that's something that I think is often overlooked. Because comics are a visual medium.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I was reading about there's always this push back and forth between what should writers be compensated, what should pencilers be compensated, what should inkers, letters, etc. And with writing, I remember there was some writers that look at it. It's like, hey, you need to invest. If you're going to find an artist that you love to work on your piece, that's the way you got to kind of look at it. It's your writing, and you should make that investment in the artist. And then I've heard the other point of view where it's like, hey, if I got a story, if that artist doesn't write, then how are they going to get discovered unless they have a good story to like launch their career off of? And I've seen things go back and forth in terms of those arguments, but the way that I kind of look at it, in terms of how those things kind of play out personally, it's a combination of both. You need to have a good solid writer, and you need to have a good artist to go along with it. Because if you look at it from a writing standpoint, if they don't recognize the role that an artist has in it, then write a novel, right? You don't need to do comics. You can write prose. You can do you don't have to have that part of it. But if you want to get into the comics field, then you have to like look at it and say, well, I need to have an artist that shares my vision, that can translate my words into sequential panels, to tell a story, because it's a visual medium. And then same thing with comic artists. They have to recognize the vision that a good story writer brings to the table. Especially it's like if you can come in there and help collaborate with it, you can shape that, make that where it's a true synergy between both artists and writers. And I think that's the balance. Everybody kind of has to leave their egos at home and just kind of figure out how to like, let's tell a good story. Let's tell a good story visually. And I think that's something that comics, that's the core reason why comics exist. Because otherwise, read a novel, right? So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, gosh, we talked about a lot of cool things. I'm gonna throw a little subject out here that I don't know if either one of you are gamers. But another big news that happened this week was Microsoft is buying Blizzard Activision.
I heard that.
And I'm not a huge gamer, but I know enough about games that I'm aware of how huge that is, how big that is, because Blizzard Activision, even though they've been embroiled with a lot of like controversy, we don't even have to go there in terms of some of the stuff that they've had to deal with from a PR standpoint. They've also had a lot of IPs that are very successful, multi-million-dollar, video game IPs. And now that it's going to be with Microsoft, everybody talks about Disney being this juggernaut that's like buying up everything. Microsoft, is doing that too. So, I mean, are you guys gamers? I mean, does this even matter to you in terms of like?
I haven't gamed in a long time.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. How about you, Brian? Are you a gamer? Or do you keep up with games?
No, not really. At first, when you said gamer, I thought you meant role playing games.
And you know what? Role playing games are great too. We can talk about I was more of a Star Frontiers guy than a Dungeons and Dragons guy. In terms of like role playing games, but I think that's that whole thing about we'll shift it since you guys don't know too much about or don't care too much about video games and that particular acquisition. In terms of the role of like role-playing games and how I think in the 80s and even like through the 90s, most people kind of looked at like role-playing games as kind of like, oh, you're just a little kid playing these role-playing games. But now we look at this, I'm going to call it the golden age of the geek or the nerd. We have the rise of these great comic book franchises that are becoming movies. And then you have role-playing games that are being brought to the forefront. Like when you watch Stranger Things, it's become more popular. And then you have like, it's role-playing games have been converted into like video games. You see movies that are doing that as well. You see references to it. So what are your feelings on that in terms of like how role-playing games now have become more acceptable?
Well, unfortunately, as they've become more acceptable, now we have this pandemic, which means we can't get together with friends like we used to. I played role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, Rifts, and GURPS.
Oh,
GURPS stood for Generic Universal Role-Playing System. But so I was into some really complex games, and I played it for about probably 15 years, maybe 20, but it's been at least another 10 or so since I played. And that's largely because, family obligations got in the way. And then when finally that wasn't the case anymore, it had been so long since I was involved in the group that I wasn't even, I'm not even aware of the fun, you had to be there jokes and things like that, Whenever somebody starts to tell you about their role-playing game or about their characters and all that, yeah, most people's eyes glaze over, even other role players. In fact, there was a shirt that I got at a con one time that says, no, I don't want to hear about your character.
That's so funny.
There's a number of jokes that happened during the role-playing days that outside of context probably wouldn't be funny at all, but man, we were just rolling on the floor laughing at them because we might have had a couple of adult beverages and then it was in context. The joke came about and I didn't know you could speak wife, and right now that doesn't sound all that funny, but if you were there when that was said, oh my gosh, you would have just lost it.
Well,
so it made for a lot of good times with friends. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, I think that's true because you almost, it used to be such a somewhat underground thing that you almost had to, you had to be a part of it to actually get it. And I think now you see a lot of memes to like some of those that secret language that you kind of spoke if you were a role play, if you played role playing games.
Right.
I was about to say if you were a gamer, but if you're a gamer, that kind of implies like you're a video gamer.
Right.
But I think it's just neat that a lot of these things that were considered, if you played role playing games, if you read comics, you almost were, you kind of got your nose. People kind of turned their nose, down on you, or is it up? I don't know. They just didn't think very highly of you. And now it's different. I really think it's awesome when you can, when you can wear your She-Hulk T-shirt or your and somebody, as you're walking down the street, somebody would see it and say, "Hey, I get that," or "She's my favorite character," or you can wear. If we were to go back, just 15 years ago before the whole MCU thing happened, if you wore a Captain America shirt, somebody who just might think that you're just very patriotic. They wouldn't know that it was the Captain America shield logo, or
Right.
I think now it's kind of more acceptable.
Acceptable.
Yeah. Vic and I were talking. It's just so funny. It's like he as he's only done a few shows, but he's much more cognizant of a lot of things. Like me, I have my generic tumbler here, which has my tasty beverage of iced water. But I just think that Vic was like, he has like a mug. He had like a Spider-Man mug. He had his Boba Fett tumbler.
Yeah, I got too many.
Yeah, and I think it's so funny that or it's so cool. I need to go out and buy me more shirts and more mugs because I want to broadcast my MCU fandom or my or
It's funny
fandom.
that you say that too, because even like for artists, I know a lot, like before like the movies were,
a
or
thing.
before comics became bigger because of the movies, a lot of people would say, like artists, I remember hearing like interviews with artists saying, um, you know, oh, you're an artist, like you do art for a living, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I'm a graphic artist. That's all they would say, because if you said you were a comic book artist, you were like, you do like comic books, that's like a kid's thing, that's aren't you an adult? Like, shouldn't you have an adult job?
So
You would hear guys say that, and then nowadays you say, "Oh, I draw comics." They're like, "Really? What do you draw? Do you
That's so
know, like,
cool. That's so awesome.
Do you draw this? Do you draw that?" Okay.
So a great example of that is Aaron Lepresti, who worked for the Big Two.
Yeah.
He and his wife have a great story where they met, and she asked what he did for a living, and he said he drew comic books. She thought to herself, "What are you, 12?" However, the first time a royalty check came in, she was like, "Oh." Oh, I see.
I totally get it now. I totally get it now.
Yeah, I think it was his portion of Spider-Man number 300 netted him like 20 grand.
Oh, wow.
So she was like, holy crap. Yeah, draw comics.
And I think I'm going to keep on turning this around to indie comics. It's like, with indie comics, I think that a lot of these studios, whether it's Netflix or Sony Pictures or Marvel Studios, it's like there's a story that's been kind of like told, but then I think they're all looking for the next big thing too. So the story that hasn't been told. And indie comics is, they don't have to subscribe to, I think there are some indie comics that have maybe subscribe to a formula maybe, but there are other ones that are completely, let's tell a story that hasn't been told, that hasn't been explored, a genre or and that's where I think the strength of indie comics is that they don't have to answer to a board of directors. They don't have to like go through a bureaucracy to get something done. They say, when Brian decides, you know what, I'm going to do Siamese. I don't need to like go through a committee to figure out what the Siamese characters are going to look like. When Vic wants to do his own IP, he only has to maybe he's going to talk to his wife and his son for like their creative feedback on something. He doesn't need to like go to like a board of directors and ask like the 12 board of directors or 12 directors like what they he should do. And I think that's the thing too, when we look at like DC versus Marvel, and how DC kind of handles things. It's like they go to a focus group for a lot of things. It's like, hey, does this play well with something instead? And what happens is things get chopped up or things deviate from maybe a storyline that's been already proven and is successful within the comic book world. And they kind of say, you know what, we got to do all these X, Y, and Z things to appease what we think the mass market wants. And that's, to me, it's like Marvel didn't, with their movies, they at least the first phases that they did, said, no, we're just gonna tell us a story, and we're gonna have things kind of fall in place and be interconnected. And they didn't have to, and they did it right. They built it up over time. They didn't want to go for the big whiz bang with just like one or two movies and tell the entire universe, type things.
Right.
And I think that's what the indie comics community is all about. We're going to tell a story. Yeah.
Hail Jon Favreau for a lot of that.
and Kevin and Feige. I think Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right, but Jon Favreau, I think, is to thank for a lot of the things that you're saying is is happening. That they did it in phases. They did it gradually. They did it with a long game in mind.
Mm-hmm. Not instant gratification or box office, dreaming of big box office numbers.
Right.
I think every Marvel movie built on the lore and then built that budget. That budget got bigger and the box office tallies got bigger. And I think that works.
And when they first cast Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, I was like dead set against it. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, because I saw him in the movie Less Than Zero, and that movie was terrible. I'd seen him in a few things, and he just, I don't know, he was a train wreck in my opinion. However, he turned it all around. I can't imagine anybody else being Tony Stark now.
Exactly, and you heard the story that when this was before the MCU, they were thinking about doing an Iron Man movie, and they were going to cast Tom Cruise as and I was like, you can't see anybody else being Tony Stark.
I'm also not a big Tom Cruise fan, so
I think he gets a lot of. I'm going to say he does catch a lot of flack, and some of it is deserved. But there are some gems in his movie.
Yeah, I'll admit that.
That I really appreciate, and some of his sci-fi movies that he did in the last decade were really good. I really liked Oblivion, Edge of Tomorrow.
Is that the one where he had to keep learning? He had to learn more each time.
Oh, that was
in order to survive.
Yes, Edge of Tomorrow was that where he would. Hopefully, that's not a big spoiler. I'm going to tell everybody he dies, and then he has to remember, it's like Groundhog Day, but it's science fiction. And there's an alien invasion. It's like every day he learns something new, and he has to try and get out of this loop.
Picture yourself in a video game where you know that if I cross this path, it's going to kill me. So now, today, I'm not going to cross that path.
Yes.
And today, I'm going to take 2 steps left to avoid that huge dagger. So
that's exactly it. And I don't know if because I know it's based on I think a manga or an anime, but that's the kind of thing is that I thought that was a really interesting way to do this movie because and you could say it's like a video game. Think of it as a video game type thing, and I think that was really interesting. I'm gonna go. Let me go back into the comment field here because I just thought there were a few things that were really funny. Okay. Let's see. We got Roy making a comment here. Roy Draws says, "Man, if I want to test out an idea, I talk to Gerald. The plethora of interviews isn't there for nothing. Ha ha ha. If there's someone to ask, it's him." You guys give me too much credit. It's all about the guests.
No, they're right. That's true.
No, we get really good guests. So that's the reason why, we can have something here to talk about. But he also says here, guys, you are blowing my cover. I'm considered unemployed here. I think he is referring to if you're saying you're an artist. I think Roy comes from the motherland. For me, he comes from the Philippines, and I think it's funny. He's like, yeah, it's like I think when you come from a certain area, it's like you're almost like, hey, what are you gonna do when you grow up? It's like in the Philippines, it's like, hey, you're gonna be a doctor, a nurse, an engineer. So when you say you're gonna be an artist, it's like, really, you're gonna be an artist? What? But I had to say, Roy, he's killing it. Great style, great art, pro level stuff, and it's just funny.
Yeah,
he's like
amazing.
He's like battling the whole thing. It's like, hey. I don't know what he says, Vic. Maybe he says I'm a graphic artist. I don't know, but it's like he says that he's considered unemployed here because he's following his passion. He's making his doing his own IP, getting his original characters out there, and then also working on some really cool mainstream projects. But I'll leave that to Roy to tell people about that. You got Marshawn. Marshawn confirmed it. She's saying Edge of Tomorrow was based off a manga. And she says, yes, this is all refreshing my memory. It's called All You Need Is Kill. That is so right. So this is another example of some people even consider manga being indie comics. It's like, I think I read this really, really.
Sorry, I have to read this.
Oh, it's like,
if you're an artist here, you get flip flops and a chicken per page.
So that's how you negotiate art in the Philippines. You used to say how many flip flops and how many pieces of chicken. Because if I get 2 buckets of chicken and 4 flip flops, I'm living large. That's saying something. But I think it's so funny. But we were talking about manga in terms of how that's manga. I think in obviously in Japan, it's a big deal. I mean, it's I think the culture accepts comics, which is manga and anime. It's so ingrained in their culture that I think I don't think it's. I'm not going to go too far off here in terms of thinking that maybe it has a little bit more respect. But I know that I've read stories about how it takes a while for manga artists to break out, and they get really for the amount of art they have to put out and produce is crazy, and they don't get paid as well. But I'm going to say that though, in Japan, there's like a genre, a comic for everything. I mean, we think here in America, it's like, oh, we have our superhero comic, and then we have some indie comics that kind of explore certain things. But heck, now that manga has become more mainstream in America, go to your Barnes and Noble, go to Amazon and type in manga. There's like, you get to see all the different genres and subjects that manga can cover. And I think that's what indie creators do too, is that they're covering a lot of subjects and genres that maybe aren't addressed in mainstream. And I think that that's great, because now you see, I read a statistics, manga is outselling, the big companies here domestically. It's like, I think they're playing catch up, the big companies, to try and figure out, why is this phenomenon happening? Why is it taking off? What do you think about that?
In Europe, manga is huge, and so is another form of comic books called bande dessinée, which is the very large hardcover comic books that have just some amazing art and storylines and all that. And they're like virtually unknowns here in the States, but those comics are huge in Europe. Like, people of all ages read them. They're widely accepted. They're not just kids stuff over there. So you're right. Back to manga. Manga is huge in Europe as well, and is just now. I mean, it has overtaken the mainstream, like you said, by a long shot, because so many people are disillusioned with the mainstream anymore.
Yeah. And they're either disillusioned or, because I have to say that I see a lot of like the younger generation really reading manga like it's crazy. Like they have a very precise knowledge of like these characters, and a lot of the manga books, they're like, there's several volumes of them, and they know the characters, and they end up becoming cosplayers for those things. There's big conventions, stuff like that, and that fervor for it, or that passion for those characters, you don't see that for like some of the newer comics that are comic book characters that Marvel and DC are coming out with. You don't see that kind of passion to like live or like be like that character, kind of like.
So you're not going to wear a Safe Space and Snowflake shirt?
No, I'm not. And where did that comic go? I don't even think it actually got produced.
It never did. No, you're right.
Yeah, we won't go there with that. But
New Warriors.
Yeah, that was a. And I love the New Warriors back in the was it the 90s? The New Warriors, when I saw that, and I was like, what were they thinking? But you won't see any cosplaying of that unless it's like complete mockery, I guess.
I was going to say, I might see it tongue in cheek, or if somebody wanted to really be funny.
Yeah, right. That's so true. But I like to think that indie comics and manga, that's where it's hot right now, because they're telling stories that you don't see in the mainstream, and those could be the future hits that you're going to see, in the next couple years or something like that. You'll see. I see more and more things on like Netflix and Amazon. They did that Invincible series,
right?
Which was it was an Image comic, but it had a huge following too. And to actually get an animated series, Vic did some fantastic Invincible artwork too. And I have to say, it's like, I wasn't one of those guys that really followed Invincible. I heard a lot about it, but once once I saw all this excitement about this series coming out, it's like I went back and I read it, and given the first few issues that I read, they're not like 100% just like because I watched the cartoon series or the animated series later, or first. I watched it first, so it's not exactly the same, but I can see why. Just the whole premise that they set up for the whole story and the characters was really, really intriguing, and I can see why people were so passionate about it, and why it has such a good following. And I guess everybody kind of wants something different, than what's being kind of regurgitated. And like,
what was crazy, about that one, you don't see too many shows here, animated shows like that, that violent. I felt it took a lot from anime, like in
the risks.
Anime. Yeah. They I think they borrowed a lot from it. I think that's why it was so successful here. Because if it was a straight cartoon, like a Saturday morning cartoon, it wouldn't have worked. Not for that comic.
No.
It'll work for so many others, but not that one. They had to go the route they did to do that show and do it justice. Because you pick up that book, it's pretty crazy. Like the artwork in there's pretty crazy and all the stuff they do. So they needed to go a little bit more adult. Was it like PG-13? I guess I don't know what it was. Well, with those that violent, I would say adult.
Yeah,
I think they had to step it up with that one.
Yeah, to do like you said, to do it justice, and I think that's the thing too, is like bringing animated movies or series, bringing it up to that level where there's always going to be a place for the Saturday morning cartoons and the after school specials, but I think that's the thing about manga, and I'm going to talk about indie creators, is that it's also exploring those territories. What not necessarily think of it as being taboo, or it just isn't being represented domestically here in the United States. So when you can do that, it's going to seem fresh and it's going to be seem new to a lot of people. And I think that's what Invincible kind of did, in terms of bringing that to the masses. But yeah, have you watched Invincible, Brian? Have you seen that?
My son insisted that I start watching it, so I did watch the first 2 episodes before I stopped. And I didn't stop because I didn't want to see more. I definitely want to watch the whole thing. It was really good.
Yeah. And I have to say, I'm just glad that there's a variety now. There's something for everybody. I think that you just gotta look a little bit harder. But now that, like I said, indie comics, they're bringing that out there now. You have more options. You get to see different points of view, and not only that, phenomenal artists that maybe it wouldn't have been you wouldn't have discovered them if they didn't work on an indie project or you wouldn't have heard that story if you didn't hear about like this writer that maybe got rejection letters from all the big companies and decided, what, my story is going to be told now by myself.
I'm gonna tout another writer. His name is Clint Stoker, and he wrote a book called Downcast. I backed his project and I got the catch-up tier, so I have issues 1, 2, and 3 basically. And I would say that I would put that book, as far as the writing goes, up with the very best I've ever read. It was really, really well done. I would put him up there with Chris Claremont or Marv Wolfman.
Wow, what's his name again? I'm gonna write his
name down. His name is Clint Stoker.
Clint Stoker. What was the title?
This book is called Downcast.
Downcast.
Here's one of the covers right here.
Oh, let me solo that out. Hold on one moment. And
we're both trying to.
I want to check this out. I can just tell from the cover. It looks like he has a really phenomenal artist too to do stuff with him. So.
Yeah, let me. If you don't solo me for a second, let me find my other issues. Okay. They should be right here.
Okay, let me exit right here. So while we're waiting, Vic, do you mind if I solo your art screen? Kind of see what you're doing?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so let's do this. So you've moved on from Moon Knight and you're doing some Venom.
Yeah.
Gosh, you're so. Is this so cool? Did you just start this from scratch, or is this like?
Yeah. I just started it right now.
Wow. That's one thing I also need to learn from Vic is how to be quick. It's just like he just did this from scratch, and so I guess you're getting ready to do some inks. You're like getting ready to make like a blue line out of this, and then you're gonna go over it.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah. So those of you who aren't following Vic, which I think you should, there was a post that he made, and he talked about his process, and I thought it was just brilliant. Like what he did is like, he does things quick because he doesn't over render anything in the initial stages, like in the penciling stage or the rough stage. He kind of like, since he's already a really proficient inker, digital inker and colorist, he already kind of knows what the extent he has to go to in terms of like putting in details, because he knows that when he goes into those later stages, he can put all those fine details in.
It just makes it easier for me.
You
know, going in and doing that. Well, so when I used to. Okay, so I'm lazy. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm lazy.
That's not how I define you.
I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to do things twice. So when I'm doing pencils, and then I'm done drawing a piece, and then I realize I have to ink this thing, I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm too lazy. I don't want to go over that anymore. So now what I do is I just do really loose pencils and then go over it with ink, and I'll do all my details with pen.
Yeah.
Makes my job so much easier.
I'm not going to say that's laziness. That's actually being more efficient with your time. He's
working smarter, not harder.
There you go. See, that's why I have Brian here. Brian can come up with the words to talk about it. All right, Brian, did you have those? Let me solo you out here.
Yeah.
So we can look at this.
Downcast. This way.
Yeah.
There we go.
So he has three issues now, or is that?
Let's see. This one says collection 1. It's issues 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Okay.
And then this is volume 3.
Volume 3. Okay.
And then after these come out, they are released by Alterna Comics as floppies.
Okay.
Which is what I showed you a minute ago. This is one of the floppies.
I see. All right, I've noted this. It's his name is
Clint
the comics
Stoker.
Clint Stoker, and it's Downcast. Okay,
and his current project, by the way, he's actually related somehow distantly to Bram Stoker. And
what?
He really is. He's releasing a comic book about Dracula.
Interesting.
Oh wow!
So it's kind of cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, if it had to be name recognition, I'm glad that you can't get any more real than that. I think unless you were like, maybe if your last name was Rice, maybe you could say, hey, I'm a distant relative of Anne Rice. But yeah, the Stoker part, that's why not go ahead and do that? Yeah.
So listen, guys, it's coming up on midnight. I'm going to have to bow out because I'm sure that my talking is keeping somebody awake, and I'll hear about it tomorrow. So
okay,
I'll let you go for now, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday, Gerald.
Yes. Oh, so one more last thing you want to say? Let's go ahead and do your. You want to do one more final plug for the 26th about what that's about?
Okay.
Yeah, do that.
So on the channel, youtube.com/c/Dojo Kun Comics. There will be a launch stream on Wednesday, the 26th at 10 p.m. Eastern. And my guest co-host is going to be Gerald. He's right up there. And there's going to be, there he is. There's going to be 9 guests on there, from super fans to other creators, just people that I've made friends with over the years in this indie comic community. Looking forward to having them come on there and grill me about the campaign for Toro Tales, an 88-page anthology featuring a whole bunch of writers, artists, colorists, and letterers, and a whole bunch of new characters that you haven't seen yet from Dojo Kun Comics.
Oh boy. And I just want to stress that 88 pages, and not only that, it's done. I want to stress that too, because that's one of my that's the criteria now. If I support anything, is that I had to say that a crowdfunding book has to be like 90% there. Because or done like that, like you're doing. And I think that's a big selling factor, because aside from the supply chain shortages and things like that, that's the only thing that's holding back delivery of Dojo Kun's book, this anthology but it's done. It's just, if anything, are there digital tiers? There is a digital tier, because I know that some people prefer to have it in their mobile device, and I also know that with all of these exorbitant postage fees that we were talking about earlier, some of my overseas fans would still like to read it, have the opportunity to get it digitally. Right. So I don't know if there's an opportunity if maybe if people buy the print version, maybe there might be an opportunity. Maybe there's a special tier where they can get the print version, but they can get the digital version while they're waiting for the print. I don't know if you want to do a special tier for that. That might be something to do, but I'm just saying that I just really want to stress 88 pages done. It's ready to go. It's ready to rock and roll. And you got like, we have what you said. There were seven writers or
seven writers, nine artists, 7 colorists, and 6 letterers.
Okay, I wanted him to say that because I would totally screw that up. But I was going to say there's going to be something there if you don't that you're going to love. And I think that you might love every one of those stories. That's the thing about anthologies. It gives you, it's like a variety pack. Think of it that, if you get an oatmeal variety pack, you may like the maple brown and sugar version. You may like the apple cinnamon. Heck, you may just like the plain. But you can always get the whole variety pack because there's something for everybody to love. And I think it'd be a great introduction into Brian Menard's Dojo Kun universe. I think it's going to be spectacular. I highly think everybody should just jump on board. And this would be a great, as an anthology, it's going to be a great springboard into that universe. So
and don't forget to look up Toro Tales and Indiegogo so you can put your email address in there and get the link to the secret tier, the discount tier.
Yes, do that. So thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your words of wisdom, correcting me as well. I really think that it was really fun having you here there, and I look forward to when the campaign is launched. Feel free to come back here and talk about that because I know this thing is going to get funded fast. We want people to sign up so they can take advantage of that discounted tier and just go from there.
Yeah, and I'll have all the art and stuff to show you when I come back. Vic, it was really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Brian.
All right.
Take care, guys.
I'll see you next week.
All right.
Stay well.
Bye.
Right. And then there were 2.
There's 2.
Let's see. We got Roi here. It's going to be awesome. Roi, come on the show with us. I know you've been here on the chat. If you want us to come on, I think we're going to be on here for. I was going to say we could be on for another hour, but I don't know how Vic's feeling, so like that. But if there are people that want to talk and just chill with us, we'll stay on as long as we can. But Roi, I encourage you to come on and we can talk about. Yeah, exactly. You want to talk about your projects too, because Roi has lots of. It was a big year for him in 2021. And it's shaping up to be really big for Roi in 2022. I'm looking forward to having him on the show. Hint, hint. I didn't get the chance to tell this to you, Vic, but the last week in February, we're going to have Roi on Let It Out. So you're going to get your chance to pick your brain and pick his brain in terms of like all the cool stuff that he's doing. I won't spoil any of those things. We want people to go watch the show. But he's just like you, Vic, or like the two of us. He's a big fan of the same artists that we all love and follow. And but you guys are like, I just need to learn how to be like you guys, where you're just sort of looking at our guest work, you're looking at our favorite artists, and you're figuring out how to incorporate those things that you like into your style and actually executing it and implementing it. I need to do the same thing. It's
I was gonna say it's not that hard, but yeah, you look at good artists and you're like, damn, what did they do? What did they do there? And you just start playing around with it until you can, get something close. And that's all I've been doing. That's all I honestly. There's a book I'm working on, and then when I take time to myself, that's all I've been doing. Like you'll send me like Pepe Larraz artwork, and then I'll have it there, and I'm trying to figure out what he did. Playing with brushes, doing whatever, then going on YouTube and being like, how to draw like Pepe Larraz. Let's see what's on there. I do that all the time.
I can't wait till you and Roi are together and we draw some of Roy's IPs because both of you do this. You saw his Moon Knight. Did you see his Moon Knight that he did?
Yeah.
And he's just like you, where he gave his little recipe of like brushes or like styles that he did. And it was like, and then you did some of the artwork that you were experimenting with, and you sort of said, I did these, I used these brushes, I did these certain things. I was like, you guys are like, two peas in a pod. You guys think about the same thing. So I can't wait till the two of you guys are together and you're like basically like sketch jamming, together and seeing some really neat stuff. But Roi, I've already made my pitch to you. Maybe I should like tell him I'll send him some flip flops and some new buckets of chicken. Maybe that would get him to come on our show right now. But if he doesn't come on, then we'll just have to like wait with bated breath until the end of February. to have Roi and his writer come on the show. So that's my plug for Roi. Stay tuned for that. We will announce it. The middle. Once we get some artwork and we can kind of talk or figure out what we're going to talk about, I'll definitely be plugging it. I don't think I'm going to talk a little bit about Comics Cast. Let's kind of like do that right now. When Vic came onto the team, the guy's an idea machine. We have probably done more with social media in this past month than the 2 years prior, because Vic has come up with some ideas in terms of how we can work the algorithms to get Comics Cast on people's radars, and then once people can get their eyes on Comics Cast, that translates to getting more hits, likes, views for our guests. And this year we want to push two things. We want to push our guests, get eyes on them. That's always been Comics Cast mission. But this year we also want to get eyes on Comics Cast in terms of like what we're doing, in terms of this indie comic digital comic platform that we're going to be doing, as well as some of the various projects that print projects. We have a magazine that we're working on that's actually going to be printed. And we also have like a project that we're going to try and do with Golden Fight. We talked about that at our year-end show. So we have a lot of different things that we're trying to do, and Vic has been a part of that. He's gone.
I'm going to say this real quick. It is super hard not to talk about what's going on behind the scenes, because you want to be like, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this, and we can't.
You're right. I'm only telling you
because Joe will get mad at it.
Yes, he would, because then we would both be. It'd just be the Joe show, because he'd have to let Gerald and Vic go. But you're right. We have so many. It's like it's hard to contain our excitement for some of the things that we want to do, and some of the things that we want to do are contingent on getting, A, B, and C done before we can get to D, E, and F. So we really want to get those things taken care of, beforehand. But it's exciting.
It really is.
I can't tell you how invigorated I am for 2022 has been a little rough for me, but I come back to do Comics Cast stuff with Vic and Joe, and it makes me and when we have our guests for Let It Out this Friday Freestyle, it basically recharges me, and I get all excited about what the future could bring. But it's all about getting it done. That's what we're talking about. Get it done in 2021. That was the thing, and now we've got more to do in 2022, and gonna push those hashtags again. so we're gonna definitely do that, and so look for a lot of new initiatives that we're gonna try and do to get some exposure for both Comics Cast and our guests on Instagram. Doing Instagram Reels and Stories and Facebook. Using that platform. And I think, Vic, you were talking about some YouTube stuff too that you were trying to do.
Yeah. We're going to be working. I mean, we're trying to get, if we could push the numbers, there'd be so many more things we can do. Because I didn't, still kind of a newbie to some of the YouTube stuff, but like you have to have a certain amount of numbers to do those things. And as soon as we get there, we're going to start adding even more content for everybody to see. So you'll see us more. You'll see us every day, hopefully, and you'll hopefully won't get tired of us. Having to see them again. Oh man.
Okay, you're not gonna get tired. You get tired of me, but you never get tired of Vic. But we're talking about YouTube here. This is our YouTube, so we want people to like go there and like and subscribe, because I think what was you said the threshold was if we can get to 500.
If we get to 500, we're almost there.
Yeah, it'll open doors that allow us to use more of the tools that are there to get eyes on our stuff. So the more eyes that we can get on Comics Cast, that translates to getting eyes on our guests, and being able to do more of those things where we can promote indie creators, and just further that dream, in terms of I'm going to quote Joe. It's unite the community, unite the indie community. Comics Cast, that's our mission, that's our mantra, that's what we want to do. So like and follow us on YouTube, get us to 500, so we can open that door to some of the social media stuff that we want to explore.
And you'll find cool books that way too.
Yes. Oh, and let's talk.
I've found so many now. Like
I know.
I had my small little staple of like books that I would collect, and now now with Comics Cast, I see so many other books. I'm like, oh hey, that's cool. I didn't even know that was out there. So go to YouTube. When you subscribe with us, like whatever, you'll see so many more books. Like I'm being, that defined. It's really awesome. It really is because I mean, like me, like we've talked before, how I buy books for artwork.
Yes.
So, you go to the comic book store, a lot of times it's the mainstream ones, and you're like, even now I'm like, that was not that good. That was not that great. I don't care for the artwork. But we're getting a lot of these people on Let It Out, or they'll come on Friday Freestyle, and I'm like, oh man, that person's really good. Who are they?
Yes.
And they'll be talking, and I'll be like, let me write their name down, or let me go look them up and like them real quick.
You're so right.
Here's the thing too. I'm also learning, because I've said this before. I'm the worst nerd ever. People will be talking about stuff, and I'm like, what is that? I'm gonna have to go look that up.
Okay. I see.
I have no idea what that is. It happens all the time.
I think I
could admit it.
You were joking with me about your wife giving you a hard time. Something about how she said, "Shouldn't you be more informed, Vic?" I was like,
"No, I don't know anything." I think it was like one time. It was like somebody was talking about Doctor Who. I forgot what the conversation was.
That's like another level, though. Whovians, Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That's
like,
I don't even know.
Who? I was like, I didn't really even know, and I had to be schooled on it. I was like, okay.
I'm actually old school Doctor Who. I used to watch Doctor Who, and again, this is back in the 80s. And so my idea of Doctor Who is like back when Tom Baker, and of course, I don't know if you may not be a Whovian, so I watched it back in the 80s. And so like, obviously Doctor Who's, there's been many iterations of the Doctor since Tom Baker. So it's I couldn't even keep up with it. I wouldn't know. I actually just bought, I was at there's a discount bookstore near me, and there was like an encyclopedia of Doctor Who stuff. And I have to tell you, that the Doctor Who characters, the villains and just characters in general, they have a distinct style to them. Mm-hmm. And I got it just because I wanted to read up on the different iterations or versions of the Doctor since throughout time, as well as these villains, and sort of like, and other characters, get their backstory, get a little bit of a synopsis. And it's neat to look at that, because especially if you're used to like Star Wars character design, or even like Marvel Cinematic Universe character design, when you go back and you look at, like, I guess this is the European style of science fiction, it has a different feel to it. And compare that with Japanese style of character design, and it's fun. It's nice to see.
Here's my thing about Doctor Who. So when people started telling me about Doctor Who, it was
the female Doctor?
Tennant.
Oh, David Tennant. Okay.
Well, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. So many people are talking about it. Let me go check this out. And then I put it on, and it's David Tennant. I was like, isn't that the guy that was in Harry Potter? I was like, I did not like that guy in Harry Potter, so why am I going to watch this? He's the guy that's like sticking his tongue out all the time, right? I'm like, no, watch it. He's better than that. I was like, I don't know. And then I gave it another try when Matt Smith was on.
Yes.
I was like, okay, yeah, I like him. I like him. He's pretty good. But then I saw David Tennant on Jessica Jones.
Yes.
Purple Man.
The Purple Man.
I was like, this guy's fantastic. Like, I'm gonna have to go back and take a look at him, because this guy's fantastic.
So you were like saying that a personal bias that you had to a character that actor or actress played influenced whether you were gonna like. So it's like I'm not gonna.
I can admit that. Yeah, it did.
Okay,
I was like, oh, I don't like that guy in Harry Potter.
Right, and
I've liked him in I've liked him in so many things since then.
And
he was in the movie, the remake of the movie Fright Night, which wasn't very good. The movie was okay, but he was the best thing in that movie. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's fantastic. He's hilarious.
I'm gonna have to write that down so I could watch that. But you're so right. Because okay, let me tell you an example. Like what was this movie? It was man, I'm having a total brain fart. I cannot think of who this movie, but it had Bill Murray in it, and He plays. It's not Groundhog Day, but he's like. I'm trying to think of who the other actor that he was, you know, acting against, I guess. And he's basically, I think, like a He's like talking to a psychiatrist, I think. And
So what about Bob?
Is it What About Bob? Is it the one where he goes baby steps? I'm taking baby steps to do things.
I think so.
I think that's what it is. But I can tell in that movie, I had to say that I hated Bill Murray. I thought he was the most annoying character. And for the longest time, you know, I liked him in Ghostbusters. I liked him in all the other movies. And then when I saw that movie, it's like I could not watch any Bill Murray movies for a long time. But then I sort of like thought about it, you know, as I going, you know, if an actress just, you know, can really get into a character and make you hate them, or make them like, it's like, especially if they're a villain or something like that, it's like, wow, they did their job. You know, they made you, or, you know, in this case, Bill Murray, he did his job in terms of making you really feel like you were annoyed by him.
Yeah,
and I'm like, and so I'm saying to myself, yeah, then they did their job. They did it. That's true acting. You know, they got into your head, and it's not completely stupid, obnoxious stuff, but you know, they really got into. So now, if a character can get under your skin. So now when I look at, like, you know, certain villains in movies that are villains that you love to hate, I think that's the way you kind of look at it. Then you can really appreciate them, you know, appreciate them for their craft. I mean, think of like Thanos, Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin was not even like, didn't even get into a Thanos suit. You know, his face was just mapped on a CG character. But you can kind of like, oh gosh, Thanos is just brutal and stuff like that. But then you also think, you know, there's just this weird warped sense of logic. It's like, you know, the villain in his case is the hero in his own story. You know, he looked at it. It's like, well, if we can eliminate half the universe, then it's like, then we don't have to worry about overpopulation or hunger or something like that. It's just kind of weird.
I know you'll see those people like say like, well, Thanos was right. And it's like,
no. Okay, yeah, I guess so. Whatever. But anyway, it's a comic book movie. You know, and the big, you know, you kind of look at it that way. Hey, did you watch Eternals? Did you watch that movie? Have you seen that?
I did.
Okay. What'd you think of it? I'll let you go.
Okay.
First.
I will say that I liked it. But
okay, go ahead,
I will say that I liked it, but because I thought the movie was really pretty. The movie shot beautifully. There's so many scenes in there that I'm like, I love the color choices. I love the angles. I love, you know, it was one of those because it didn't feel like a Marvel movie to me, which I think is why a lot of people didn't like it. So, you know, picking out what I liked, it was like cinematography, the color, everything. I was like, okay, yeah. But there was so much of that movie that I'm going to say left me wanting more. You know, you get so much more from the other Marvel movies. You get these big set pieces and things like that. It didn't feel like a Marvel movie to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's a lot of things like people didn't like. Also, where were they when Thanos? I know they came in here, but come on. Seriously? Come on.
That was that was a huge threat. And it's like, and they decided, you know, we're just going to sit on the sidelines. And I guess
I'm excited. I'm excited for what it's setting up.
Yes.
More than anything. Like once I got to it and I was like, okay, that was a movie. I think if it was not a Marvel movie, I might have enjoyed it a little bit more. Like it was just like a self-contained movie.
Yeah. Because you put it in a category of expectations. And when
it really did.
When it didn't fit that expectation, then you know, you kind of like felt like, whoa, let me try and get into it and see how it works out. And you know, I'm going to tell you, I agree with you. The cinematography for it, the visuals, the aesthetics, they were different, and I think that's to credit the director, different directing style. It wasn't like the whiz bang action shot, like you know, going through. It had story. It was trying to develop things. But I'm going to try and say that if we're going to go in that thing about like developing stories, I almost think that this should have been a TV series, like the WandaVision or, you know, like Hawkeye or anything, because I think that because you have the Eternals, you have 10 characters, right? And I think that they try to like talk about their own individual lives, what they were, what they were doing once they came to planet Earth, and what they were doing throughout the millennia they've been there. And I felt like you didn't get to really see all the stuff that they, what their powers were, and you couldn't really, I guess, empathize as much with that. But there was like there were so many plot holes too that were there. You mentioned the whole Thanos thing. And I hope there's nobody. I don't want to go into. I guess we shouldn't go into too many spoilers because it's still a relatively fresh movie. But whatever was leading to this next world-affecting event that's going towards the end of the movie. One problem I had was the scale, because the scale of what's going to happen, it didn't fit with the scale of the other thing that was whenever they went into this whole thing where they, it's not, I guess, a secret about the Celestials and how gargantuan they are and how big they are. So to me, it's like there was a scale part of it, and I don't know if they. Anyway, I don't want to go into spoilers about that. But
there is a giant things left behind that I'm like, they're gonna have to like show that eventually, right? Like,
right, and it just didn't.
In the next Avengers, if they're flying in a jet, they're gonna have to fly around that. Like it's just.
Yeah, it's
just.
I'm wondering what they're gonna do with it. I guess they could be setting up something, but I'm gonna just.
Oh, we got Roy.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Roy here. I'm gonna finish up. Yeah, let's get him in here. Roy.
Hey, Roy.
Oh, is your audio?
Is your audio on?
Hey. Oh, there. I can. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, we can't hear you.
We can't. Oh, there's a delay on your audio.
Oh, there's a huge delay. Yeah.
Oh.
It's.
All right. Let me jump.
Yeah. Okay. All right. He's gonna come back in. Okay, he's gonna jump back in. Let me just finish my whole Eternal thing that we're talking about. I think it would have been good if it was more of an episode type thing where you can kind of like focus on like individual characters, get to know them.
Yeah, exactly.
Get to know their motivations and why they made decisions towards the end of the movie. Because the movie
they were just like it felt like they were just thrown in there. Like, let's have this many characters because.
Well, we can. I think they're trying to maybe shoehorn maybe a relationship between Shang-Chi. I don't know. We'll leave it like there. With the rings, I'm gonna leave it at that. But the whole thing too was like it was a long movie because it wasn't a TV series. I think I remember getting to one part of the movie and I was like going, oh, they're going to wrap it up. And then I looked at the timeline. I clicked on it to see where it was. It was like, there's still another hour that was added to the movie. So I was like, God, they got a lot of story to tell still. But yeah, I think we're going to have to do another episode where we can both we're going to have to figure out another show where the two of us can just, and we can have it open. Maybe it is kind of like a Friday freestyle thing, but we can kind of throw up a subject and we can all kind of give our 2 cents about it. I think Eternals is still a little new because a lot of people that maybe haven't watched it, and I don't want to spoil it, in that respect. But I definitely have some feelings about it, and I agree with you. I agree with you from the cinematic standpoint. It's just beautiful movie. The character designs of like their costumes. Just done really, really well. But and even like the way they did use their powers, I thought those were really neat too. It's not.
There's several scenes that I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like that was really.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple of shots when I was watching. I was like, you know what? That's how they should have, done Superman when he flies around, or like there's one scene I don't even remember what his name was, but like he flies backwards before he takes off. So like it doesn't affect anybody. Unlike Superman in the DCU, just goes boom and takes off, and everybody's like,
Yeah, it's like
I think him moving that fast would have hurt somebody.
If he moved that fast, we'd all have broken eardrums because the sonic boom from him moving. Because it's almost like it's like one thing to land and create a crater. He actually shoots up in outer space and he creates like a crater because he breaks the sound barrier when he leaves. Icarus. Because he did have
Icarus,
he made some. I thought there were some nice tongue-in-cheek things where he was like saying, "Yeah," when he meets Phastos's family and his son goes, "Oh, he's like Superman." He goes, "He goes, you had a cape and also shooting lasers out of his eyes." And he's like, "I don't have a cape." He was like, it was just. I thought that was a little funny because there's going to be some obvious comparisons when you shoot beams out of your eyes, unless you're confusing him with Cyclops because he doesn't have the visor. It's like Superman, and I thought that was pretty neat. And you're right, they did some really cool things with the. It's like they had the GoPro camera that was mounted behind him when he was flying, and I think that was kind of neat when they showed the perspective of him, really flying and dodging the projectiles from the enemy, or like him flying, something like that. I thought that was really really neat. And even like some of the cool things that they did, like Cersei's power, it's like where she can like transfigure or I'm going to use like Calvin and Hobbes references, the transmogrify. She could like turn like what is it, non-organic things into anything, right? And then of course will reveal like other things as her powers are revealed. I think that was kind of neat. What do you think about the Black Knight? What do you think about that?
I thought that was cool, especially well, if nobody's seen it, we could probably talk about it. But yeah, the Black Knight, I thought that was cool. Well, because I was expecting him. And he doesn't appear in the movie, so I was like, oh, okay. Well, I thought he was in it. But knowing that he's coming, and
you knew the name. You knew the name, and it was kind of hinted.
And knowing the voice now of who talks to him, I'm like, oh, yes, that's what I want to see. I want to see all those characters.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
What is the guy's name that's playing Blade? Something Ali, right? Isn't it?
Is it? I just keep on thinking of Marshawn because she was on the show earlier, but it's
that's what I keep thinking of.
It's not Marshawn Rionico. It's like it starts with an H, doesn't it? I can't even remember, but I do know you're talking about.
I don't remember, but he's a fantastic actor.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh man, he's going to be amazing as Blade.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for that. There's so many good things coming out.
Yeah.
It's fun to be a fan right now. Like you get to see your heroes, on the big screen, small screen too.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't see this stuff when you were little. I mean, they did have that amazing Fantastic Four movie when I was younger. But
which Fantastic Four was that? I was gonna say.
The original, the Roger Corman one.
I haven't seen that.
You've never seen that? You gotta go on YouTube. You have to go on YouTube and watch it.
Okay, so I'm trying to like. Are you being sarcastic, or are you actually saying it's fantastic?
It's fantastic.
Okay, it really is.
Now, here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to know about me that you probably don't know. I love crappy movies. all those sci-fi movies, I'll put that on all day and just watch these crappy movies and be like, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. I love it. Let me watch it again. Yeah.
Okay. Except for the bad X-Men movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like those sci-fi movies, I don't know if they're made to be that bad or they're just that bad. So they're just amazing. Like big budget movies, when they're that bad, you're just like, oh, that was a really bad movie. But these ones are bad. Have that bad acting.
Bad special effects. Yeah.
Here we go. Alfred. Seriously, Joe, you haven't seen it? Shame on you. Yeah.
Alfred.
It's like a rite of passage. You have to watch that.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
I mean, back a long time ago when I saw it, I'd gone to a convention and I had gone with my cousins, and I think we bought it by mistake because my cousin was like, "Hey, this guy actually has a copy of the Fantastic Four movie, the one that was going to be coming out with like Chris Evans and
yeah."
He was like, "He has a copy of it. I'm going to buy it. We could watch it at home." And I was like, "I don't think that's real. Like, I don't think that's a real thing." He goes, "No, he says it. It's right here." And when we bought it, it was that Roger Corman one. It was like the trailer for the Fantastic Four movie, and then it was the Roger Corman one, and that's where I first saw it, and I was like, "Oh, I've heard of this." Like it's one of those like underground movies, like people back then were like passing around, like you have to see this because it's so bad. Okay. It's so bad. There's actually a documentary on it where they're talking to the actors and how they truly believed they were making a real movie. They all thought they were making a movie to be released at the theater. And the movie was only being made so that way they could hold on to the rights for like another 10 years, I think it was. That's the only reason why they made those movies. And you're just like, this is so sad. Like all these people are like working so hard and that movie's never going to come out.
Okay, now that you've given me the backstory, I'm gonna have to look that up just because you're selling me.
Don't
on
be
it
mad
right
at me.
now.
Don't be mad at me after you watch it. After you see it, don't be mad at me. That you can't get that time
am
back.
I gonna say, Vic, I lost 2 hours of my life? Is it even
Yeah,
2
that's
hours?
good.
Is it
That's
like
gonna be exactly it.
is that it? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But it's so funny that you said that because we talk about like in the 80s everything that or all the Marvel movies. I'm gonna have to say there were Marvel movies. They had Blade, with Wesley Snipes, and those are every Marvel movie after that. That's a standard. And then you have the movies that were before before Blade, and they're just kind of like, what did I just watch? All right, Roy.
All right.
Hey, I'm back.
Oh, yes, you're back, and we can hear you. Everything's in sync. It was like a bad, like, what is it? A bad Asian movie dub where you'd be like this. Hey guys, it's like you're listening, moving, and it wasn't even like 1 second, 2 seconds. It was like I don't know, 10 seconds delay. But we're
An
happy
awful
to have
Chinese
you here.
movie.
Exactly. Or we could say it's an awful Filipino movie.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy that you're here because we're rounding out. We're gonna be on for maybe like another 30 minutes, and I was telling Vic, I let the cat out of the bag today. Roy reached out to me and he said, "Hey, you got any slots for Let It Out in February?" And I said, "Hell yeah, I got slots. I'm gonna make time for you guys." So Roy is gonna be our guest in the last week of February, and Vic, so get your questions ready to talk to Roy. Oh, it says Alfred saying Gerald's banned from the geek community if he doesn't watch it. Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up. So, okay, here I'm gonna ask Roy. Roy, have you seen this Fantastic Four movie that Vic has been talking about? Have you seen it?
Which one? I think there are 75 Fantastic Four movies.
That's true.
The Roger Corman one, the one that was never meant to be released.
Okay,
Roger Corman.
This is before the this is before the Chris Evans Fantastic Four and the Jessica Alba.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay, good. You can get your geek card revoked too, just like me. Okay, but that being said, Roy and I are gonna look for this, and we're gonna watch it together.
Yeah.
We're gonna do mystery science theater style, where we're gonna watch it, and we're gonna give our running commentary. And Vic can be on there too, and he can kind of say, "Oh, here's the best part. Come on!" It's like, and then
I'll never say here's the best part because it isn't the best part.
Oh, there isn't. So we're gonna have to look.
I didn't even know there was a Fantastic Four movie before the Chris Evans one.
Oh, okay. I think I've seen still shots of the movie that Vic is talking about, and I thought it was just like a fan film or some sort of thing where somebody was spoofing it because the costume effects look so bad. I think was it the Thing? Did he look like he was wearing a foam costume or something like that? That's so
crazy. You'll get 0.5 credit for that.
Okay, all right. So I'm getting a little bit.
Here we go. Let me show you this.
Oh, he's gonna.
Look how amazing the costumes were.
Oh, I do. One thing can say it's comic accurate, right? That's
wow.
Comic accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have.
Even Roger's white hair.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And
which looks like they just stuck cotton in his hair. It doesn't even look like.
Yeah.
They really tried to. They really didn't go that far.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that happened
Cheap
before.
wax.
Yes. What was it? Remember? Was it in the late '90s when they were trying to make the costumes sexy, and they did the Invisible Woman, and she had the boob window where it was
she was in a bathing suit, I think.
Yeah, I was like, what? I mean,
well,
I just thought it was.
Well, you can argue that she's invisible because everyone's looking at the window. Should be. That joke that
yes,
that girls say, my eyes are up here.
It's like Oh, Roy, man, you are beating me to the punch. I couldn't even say that fast enough, and you already like stole my line there. But yeah, that was I'm gonna look that up, Vic, and so I can kind of like know what you're talking about.
It's no rush. No rush. Take your time.
Okay, Roy, I'm gonna get your opinion on this, and it's regarding Vic. Okay.
All right.
I've been there's been
Are
like
we skinning Vic?
No, we're not. We're not roasting him. We're not roasting him. I think that's so. I just wanted to say I'm going to get your opinion, Roy, and see if you agree with this, because I have had guests that have been on the. We've had a couple Let It Outs now, and I've had those guests come back, and I've had like some Let It Out fans come up to me, and they'll say, what is with Vic? And I'm like, what do you mean? What is with Vic? And I say, Vic is perfectly lit. Like your camera looks so good. You look so pretty.
Yeah.
Your lighting is so awesome. It's like, it's not even the way that your face is lit, which is perfect. It's also your room. It has a lot of interesting things going on there. So many, I've had at least 5 people tell me in the last week, say, where does Vic get his cam to make him look so good? So Roy, what do you think? What do you think of here? I'm gonna solo him out. No, get back in frame. I'm gonna let so Roy, isn't this whole arrangement, it's lit so nice.
Yeah. Well, earlier I was watching on Twitch, right? And his camera just looks crisp on Twitch. Yeah. Facebook is not doing a good enough job of showing how crisp his camera is.
I'm gonna have to go to Twitch, because apparently, I guess it's like 4K resolution. I guess maybe on Twitch.
It's way better on Twitch.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go there. But Vic, I just want to tell you, it was your art that I really gravitated to. But then the truth of the matter is that you have such a great camera presence. That's the real reason why we brought you on here. And those hot toys. Yeah, those hot toys behind you, those look great too. Look at those hot toys. I'm just gonna tell you. I don't know if Vic went to school to learn how to light things, but that choice of that soft blue lavender look. I mean, with the little bits of green, and then your skin tone.
And the rim light.
On the rim
photography.
Yeah, rim light. You can't forget the rim light. I think that there you go. So it's good. And like here,
all this stuff is from when I used to do photography.
Oh, okay. The secret's out.
When I used to do pinup photography.
So this is not a happy accident. It's actually because
I had this stuff and it was just put away because I wasn't doing photography anymore. And then did your show, and I just had a little whatever camera I had at the time, and then I just started digging stuff out again. I had the lighting. Like I have 6 lights right now. 7 lights.
7.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all about it's just lighting.
You have more lights than my house.
Yeah.
And this is so funny. It's like, look at Roy and me. In fact, here, let's do this. I'm gonna put Roy up here. Roy and I have the blank wall. And look at my shadow. I have like weird. I got this Walmart ring light. That's like I'm using. The shadows are weird. Look at these shadows. I got like stuff that's on my bench that's beside me, and then Roy and I are we're just
Yeah, you get a wall.
Yes, we got a wall. This is my sexy wall right here. So,
yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you, I meant that in the most sincere way, Vic. Though you look good. You're a handsome guy, but you look even more handsome with this lighting. And the trick is 7-point lighting. 7-point lighting with some rim lighting, some accent lighting.
Because without this, all this is nice. Without this, it's awful.
Well, I'm going to tell you
when we actually meet one day at a convention, I'm going to be, hey, Jerome, you're like, who the hell's this guy?
and it's like that. Is it that Seinfeld episode where it's like he goes, his date or the girl that he's dating, he's like, she only looks good in a certain light.
Yeah.
It's like, can you stand over here? I'm gonna push back on you, and I'm gonna say, no, that's not gonna be the case. I think that's you're gonna look good. I look forward to when I can meet both of you in person, but it's gonna be more of the opposite. You're gonna go, hey Gerald, can you go stand in the shadows by that white wall? Oh, now I know who you are. It's like, it's gonna be one of those type of things where it is. That's the reason why normally I have a black background that's just cloth fabric, because at least it doesn't show these weird shadows and stuff like that. But you know what? It's all about just like me being a blabbermouth and like keep on talking and talking and talking. But
I can't stand on.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it depends on also who's coming on and who's the guest. Like I'll use their characters' colors in the back, so I'll try to like.
Okay, inside secret. I'm gonna have to like write this down. So when I get
last week's Red Scare, everything was red.
That's
and then we did Marikaiju. I looked at his character and themed the lighting behind me the same way.
That's like if we were to do a director's cut of Let It Out.
We haven't even noticed that.
Well, you know what?
It was so dumb. We didn't even notice that.
No, it is so good that we just subconsciously appreciate it. Roy. Yeah. It's like, because
now I have to watch the replays.
I'm gonna have to do that too. I'm gonna have to see that. So Roy, you're gonna have to let us know when you come in on the was it the 29th of February? I can't remember the exact date. We're gonna plug it, but 27th. When you do that, you got to make sure that you tell us. Actually, maybe you can kind of like throw Vic for a loop and say, "I'm not going to tell you the color of my comic," or you're going to say, "My comic is black." What if my comic is black and white? What's going to happen?
But actually, the comic is noir, so it's gonna be hard for you.
No, I think Vic is gonna figure out. He's gonna find out some color scheme where he looks like he's in a Frank Miller Sin City style, like a filter. And I wouldn't put it past Vic. Vic, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'll just change it. Let me just. I'll just change my colors now. I'll start.
Now you're just showing up. Vic.
Oh, now he's flexing.
No,
he's flexing. He's flexing. He's flexing right now. But on a serious note, I gotta take lessons from Vic. I'm gonna go on Amazon after this show, and I'm gonna look for I'm gonna buy seven different lighting sources so I can soften my, whatever this is, soften it up, and then these aren't features, these are mistakes. So I can soften these mistakes and be able to just that's a new bar. I think Vic is just setting it, and you know what, Joe's doing the same. I have to say, Joe did that post. That was that still shot that he did where because Vic and I we were doing a comics cast office, just talking about stuff, and then Joe, there was a picture of us on the monitor in the background, but he did this thing and it had a nice bokeh effect where it kind of blurred the background. He's really sharp. He put he cast a certain light on his face and then put a cast on his desk, and then there's like a light that's kind of shining down behind him that kind of gives him a little bit of a halo effect coming down his head. I was like, dang, that's a great looking image. It's like, I couldn't do that in my dreams. That just looked really, really good. But see, that's where, go ahead.
Well, for me, fancy lights don't match Joe's personality though. Yeah, I like him better with the awful camera and the leather jacket and that pale skin tone of his.
Man, where's Joe? Make sure. I hope you go back and replay this, and I'm going to tell you to go to the near camera where Roy appears. I think you just got used to Sean Mendoza's impersonation of Joe, and now that's making
remember that the year-end show when he when you played his very first video, he was like, how do you fix this camera and shit?
Right? Well, I'm gonna have to tell you, Joe brought that up, and he actually said, hey Gerald, it'd be good for the year-end show to kind of talk about where we've come from, and we can kind of laugh at ourselves. And I'm going to show a video of one of my first, Comics Cast shows. And I think it might even be not even a comics cast show. It might have been like when we used to be known as Comic Arts with a Z, you know, because changing the S to a Z
Comic Arts.
It makes it yes. It's like it makes it more edgy, you know. We can do the Z. I'm trying to think about how we do the Z. Anyway, I'm just saying. Oh, it was like and then he goes, Gerald, you want to do that too? And I go, dude, just watch any of my videos. All of my videos have mistakes in it. They're all like really bad. But I had to tell you, it was really great of him to do that, and I had to say that I shared we had Lee Giles on last weekend, and I shared the first appearance where it was one of the first 6 shows that we did for Let It Out, and it's not even on YouTube. I think it was like before we linked it to YouTube, so I had to find the file and share it with Vic, and I said, hey Vic, don't give me a hard time because it's so bad. It is, you know, I haven't progressed much further than that, but I have improved a little bit.
Oh no, you've come leaps and bounds. There was a lot of let's see.
It's like, do I click this button or do I click this button?
There's a moment that Gerald's not talking.
Isn't that amazing? If there's like,
I didn't even know that exists.
Is that possible? Is that even possible? It's like people will go back and look on this episode and they'll realize, you know, Gerald just doesn't shut up. He just keeps on talking.
Yeah, it was night and day.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really funny to watch.
I would tell
it really is, because it's nothing what I know. It is absolutely nothing what I know. Like I know Gerald, like anybody stops for a second and he's right in there. At this point, there was like he stopped. There's one part in the video where he stops and you can see his eyes like thinking. So comics, right?
Yeah, something about comics cast or whatever. It's so funny. It's like, you know, when I did that for you, I went back and I kind of like was looking at some other videos that didn't make it to YouTube, and there's a good reason why they're not on. One, we didn't link them, and 2, I don't want to.
Oh, here we go. Now we go. Need to find that video so you can see that little moment of Gerald being quiet.
Well, there were times where
we should add it to the comments. We should add the link to the comments.
It's like, find the moment where Gerald is quiet. I think there were times where I think I was quiet because Rick muted me. I think a couple of times. But there were other times in those initial videos that weren't linked to YouTube. I don't know. Maybe we'll put them up there. But I went back and I found, I think it was the first interview we did with Marius Rionico. And I was so nervous. Here's a little behind the scenes like thing. I was so nervous, and one of my nervous tics is I shake my leg. I think there's a condition for it. It's called like nervous leg syndrome, NLS or something like that. And what happened? And so what happened is I had my leg against the table that had my laptop and the camera. So the camera was like this. It was like, hey, Marius, good to have you on this edition of Let It Out. Thank you for being on the show. I was so nervous, and you know, and then to top it off, I could not pronounce Rionico. I said Rionico, Nico. I couldn't get his name correct. So if you go back and find that video, you will see Gerald's greatest hits when it comes to bloopers. But it was fun. I think I loosened up as the interview, you know, got along. But it was definitely one of my funniest moments, funniest videos. You know, I had such a good time.
Well,
but
to your credit, going live is really hard. Oh. Yeah, I tried going live for the past 3 days, and well, all of it was just dead air. I don't know what to say and who to talk to, because I have no one watching me that time. So, so what do I do? Do I talk to myself?
Okay, I'm going to tell you. This is where Vic, give your 2 cents here, because Vic, I've noticed he's like he'll be the first to tell you, I'm not good or whatever. But no, when he draws, he's done some tests. He'll draw and he'll do his narration while he's going to do. And I think Vic, if you want to talk a little bit, he's a studied guy. He's done practice videos, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. When are you gonna publish it? And I just think that Vic is the guy you need to talk to. Vic, you want to tell Roy, give him some advice?
No, I'm with Roy. I'm the exact same way. You don't see that. That's like the 18th recording I've had to do because I'll be drawing and like, oh, I haven't said anything in like 10 minutes. Sorry. So a lot of times that's just edited. I'll just go back and pretend to be drawing and I record it so it looks like I'm doing it.
So you cut it. Okay, Roy, you can't do it live. You have to do it produced and make it look it's live.
Roy, I'm like you. If I go live, I'll be like, hey everybody. Oh hey, I'm drawing. Like I forget to talk completely.
And that's why Friday Freestyle works out for Vic and I.
Yeah.
Because me being the lazy artist that I am, I can just talk and watch Vic draw. And I don't get enough time to watch Vic draw because to me it's great. It's like every now and then I'll have to I solo out his camera and then Vic goes, why you keep on soloing my camera? And he'll click it and make sure it goes back to our faces. But yeah, I think we're gonna have to do, now that I've got Roy on here again, the next Friday Freestyle, we're gonna get both your cameras up and we're gonna that way you guys can draw and you can listen to Gerald chat. Yeah, and then you can kind of go, Gerald, shut up, be quiet. Can we get some silence going on here?
Vic and I will be on the chat, Gerald's talking too much.
And then they're like, oh, we're not in the private chat. We're broadcasting it to everybody.
See, Alfred, I couldn't do live drawings because I just got so focused on the project.
Yes.
I don't talk. Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's it. Yeah. Because if there was no camera, do you guys talk to yourselves when you're drawing? You don't. It's just
at least I hope not.
It's like in your head you're talking. Okay.
Oh, I have a great live video I deleted it because I didn't realize I was doing this. But I had like baseball on, and this was me in the video.
It's like that movie Up.
Come on.
Where the dog, Doug, he goes and he's like talking, and then he goes squirrel.
Yeah.
Squirrel. It's like
I just totally forgot I was recording and something exciting happened. And like 5 minutes, I was just looking away. Then I came back. I was like, "Oh man, I thought I stopped." Like, all right, I'm not gonna show that to anybody.
All right. Yeah. So while we're in this whole thing about let's just tell embarrassing Gerald stories, I'll tell you another thing that's a bad habit of mine. If we were doing a thing where we're drawing, I don't know if you guys do it when you're drawing like an expression. Do you guys make the face that you're trying to draw?
Yeah.
So I do that, but I do something else. And my grandfather, my Lolo, he's pointed this out to you. When I was in elementary school, he came to visit me, and we had this study room where I'd be doing my sisters and I would always do my homework. And so my Lolo would come down there and watch us do our homework. And when I am writing something or doing arithmetic or whatever, I'm like wording it out like with my lips. I'm not saying it. And it's a Filipino thing. Filipinos, we do things where we always go, we point with our lips, our nostrils split. But anyway, I was like writing. So if I was like writing Comics Cast, I'd be like this. And then I would be moving my lips, and then my Lolo would go up to me. He wouldn't make fun of me with words. He'd just come in front of me, put his face in front of my face, and then he'd be like this. And he would just be mocking me the whole time. So embarrassing fact about Gerald is that Gerald will make the expressions when he's drawing. And that's another thing, is that's the reason why I got the hat on when I'm drawing, when I'm my head down. It's so you don't see my lips when I'm like making the expression.
I wonder what you speak when you draw.
Oh, I'm going like sound effects. It's like if it's like a fight scene, it's like bam, boom. It's like when you have like toy action figures and you're going pew pew pew. Oh, you hit me. Oh. I'm doing those sound effects. I think I realized I wasn't alone when I did these type of things. When Ewan McGregor said that when he was when he became Obi-Wan Kenobi and he was doing these fight scenes with Christian Hayden doing the fight scenes, they would have to reshoot the episode, whatever they were shooting, because they found Ewan McGregor making his own sound effects when he was doing the lightsaber battles, and they were like saying, "Ewan, don't make those noise. Don't even move your lips. Act. You don't need to do that." And so I was like, so if I was, so I don't feel so bad when I'm doing like Star Wars drawings and I draw Obi-Wan, I'm making the pew pew noises or the lightsaber effects. So I think
that's what happens when you're in the zone.
Yes. That is so true. And Roy, I think you can relate to this. When I'm in the zone, sometimes I'm listening to K-pop. So I'm listening to K-pop and I become twice. Vic is probably going, who the heck are these guys and why are they talking about that? It's like I'll be jamming out to like whatever the latest, Twice song, and then Roy will like be going, it's like, dude, that's not something you want to share with the audience. You don't want to let them know that you do that. Yeah. But
that's so.
Yeah. So that's why I switched to instrumentals because there's no vocals. So I can't.
I was supposed to say something, but I'm afraid Marius and Maverick will get angry at me.
Okay, in the private,
I'm just gonna say that I'm not a fan. I like different type of music. So,
okay, Vic, do you listen to music when you're drawing, or what kind of music do you listen to?
Mine varies. Mine varies a lot.
Okay.
I go from death metal.
He's like,
depending on working. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll be drawing and I'll be like, why does my throat hurt? I'll be like, oh, singing along. I didn't even realize that. And then I'll go from just like to rockabilly. Mine.
Rockabilly. I love music,
so it's It's all over the place.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's kind of like you have to be like whatever you're drawing. Sometimes the music fits the mood, right? Like if you're drawing like an action scene, maybe you have like this death metal thing that has like all these soaring riffs. It doesn't do that?
Not for me, no.
Okay, let me get it. You listen to like.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what I'm drawing. I could be like drawing something happy and just have like really hard music on.
Really?
Or if I'm drawing like something really violent, I could have soft music on. As long as I have something on something I can't like really focus on, because I don't want to be like, if I put like a movie on or something, I get distracted too easy.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
Yeah. I get distracted way too easy. Like,
I'm
surprised with all the lights I have. I'm surprised I'm not like this more often. Like, okay. I'm distracted way too easy.
That's why you have 7 lights. You have a different light to stare at. It's like, what are you gonna say?
It's safe to have 7, because if you only have 1, the Lord might be taking you.
It's like, don't go to the light, Vic. Don't go to the light.
I remember when I was working on my comic book Ophir, I was playing that drum instrumental that I used on my videos. It sounded ethnic, so it makes me feel like I'm in that era, because that's something completely different from what we from our time. So that helps me, something that's gonna help me visualize what I'm drawing.
And it transports you, right? It transports you. Yeah.
I almost ripped my clothes off, so and fight because the only background music I can find is that I think it's the one that Vikings use when they're going into battle. So
Okay, I'm gonna send you a CD. Who buys CDs anymore? But I bought the CD back in college, and it's a Japanese tribal like drums, like in Japanese. I'm gonna send you some tracks from that, because that might help you with that. But I just had this really, really disturbing visual when you said, I just want to rip off my clothes. I was just like, when you're listening, and I was like, gonna think, it's like you're drawing, and then all of a sudden you're like ripping off, and then Noni comes into the room. It's like, what are you doing, Roy?
What are you doing?
What are you? It's
What's wrong with you?
It's like you're like going.
You're scaring the kids.
You could say, hey, I'm just getting into the action of the comic book that I'm doing. This is how it works.
But why are you waving your shirt around over your head though? That makes no sense.
I think that's a different comic.
Yeah, he was doing. Yeah,
you don't wave your shirt when going to battle, man.
I was gonna
There's
say
a different time for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Roy was doing a comic book based on the movie Magic Mike, and so he was like, "What are you gonna do with that?" Oh wow, this whole since Roy came into the show, I think our conversation has just gone downhill, Vic.
Yeah, definitely.
We're running out in this. Yeah,
I know, but you know what, Roy, I'm enjoying it. This is probably. I'm glad that you got your mic fixed because this is the most chatty that I've seen.
The most laugh you had.
Yes, I love it, and that's why I want more of this on Friday Freestyle. In fact, sure. I'm going to let's reach out to the Rionicos. We had Marshawn who was on here earlier at the very beginning. She came in number 1. She was our first one.
Wow.
But we need to get Maverick and Marius and Marshawn, and all of us can be on here, and we can all admire Vic's superior lighting. I have to say, it's still the most awesome lighting that you're ever going to see.
If we get everybody, it's going to be those like the first ever freestyle where you have to put like the warning before, like when you watch the Jerry Springer show. It says warning. The show is for adults only, because it's just going to be all over the place.
Oh wait, Marshawn's still watching with us. Marshawn, I'm still here. Yeah. Oh yes. Okay. So Marshawn. I know. See, Marshawn is here in the United States, and her brothers Maverick and Marius, they're still in the Philippines. So let's do a Rionico reunion featuring Roy, and Gerald and Vic will just be in the background, and we're just gonna yuck it up.
You wish.
Yeah.
Gerald going to be in the background. Oh, you wish.
But it'll be fun. It'll be so fun. And she goes. Okay, so Marshawn's laughing along with us. And then here we got, I'm loving your conversation so much. You say that now, but Roy already caught himself. He said he wasn't going to comment on the music that he listens to because he's fearing that big brothers Marius and Maverick might make fun of him.
So you guys have to come on next week and tell us what that music is.
You need to head back.
Yeah.
In fact, we want to, once we find out the music too, Vic, we're gonna play the music, and then we're gonna see Roy like take off his clothes, and that's where we like had to like mute and take off his camera because this is a family friendly show. We don't want to scare the children.
We're gonna be watching him fight it. He's just gonna be just fighting the urge to rip the shirt.
He's like, oh, I want to rip my shirt off.
You're getting me in the zone, man.
He's like,
you better stop.
It's like you don't want to see, like it's like the Incredible Hulk. You don't want to see Roy when he listens to this music, because then he'll want to like tear off his clothes. And then we can have like Noni come in there and say, put your clothes back on, Roy. You're scaring the children. Oh wait, we got here. So here. Marshawn is saying, I heard that, Roy. So yeah.
This is just Tito talk.
Tito talk. So
yes. Your friendly neighborhood uncles talking.
Yes, exactly. You're making me like I'm like crying practically because we're laughing so hard. Oh, okay. So we're gonna try and make it an effort for Friday Freestyle next week. We'll hopefully we can get other guests, from around the world or here in the United States.
I'll start trash talking Marius on the chat.
Okay, all right. You do that because I know that
your music sucks.
I can't say anything. You can say that to them, but no one can say that to me because my music is completely like. Oh, here we go.
Hashtag Save Jarrell 2022.
I know. It's gonna start trending next week because Roy's gonna be out there like putting that hashtag out.
I'm just going to put it out here. I have this one guilty playlist. If you can guess which band I am listening to when I'm so bored and so sleepy to wake me up, I'll think. Well, uh, give me something uh that's that's good enough to be a prize for Maverick and Marius.
Okay. Oh, wait, so we're supposed to guess what's on that playlist, or are we supposed to give you a recommendation?
No, you're supposed to guess the band.
The band. Okay.
Yeah, I posted this. I think 2 or 3 months ago.
Okay, Vic and I, we're gonna troll.
We're gonna do our homework.
We're gonna do our homework.
Yeah. This is very similar to K-pop.
Oh,
so that's a hint.
Okay, I was gonna look at.
But it's not K-pop. It's not K-pop.
It's not K-pop. Okay, all right. Here we got Alfred who's saying something. Gerald can't be saved. He was lost cause when Roy started talking about taking his clothes off.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yes, I'm. In fact, you know what? When I'm so sleepy and can't stay awake, I will just think of that imagery, and it's just gonna. I can't fall asleep. I'm gonna dream about Roy taking off his shirt. so I'm gonna have to. That's gonna be like my new caffeine.
Gerald's so disturbed. I think he has a really, really vivid image of me taking my clothes off.
I'm not gonna be able to live this down anymore. So it's gonna be always brought up now. See what Roy did? Roy just got me in trouble now. So, but I'm gonna have to say that we're approaching 12:57 right now. What a way to wind out Friday Freestyle, Roy. You basically helped close this show out with your sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna I'm going to say one more time, we're going to have Roy on the show at the end of February. It's going to be a great show. But before he's on the show, we're going to have him and the Rianicos and whoever wants to be when we do a Friday freestyle between now and then. And Vic and I are going to we're going to go through your entire page, trying to find what that music that you're listening to.
Oh, yeah, we are.
to figure it out. So be warned. When we find out what that special music track is, it's gonna be very hard for you to keep your clothes on.
Well, it's gonna be weird if I take my clothes off on that band.
Okay.
I'm gonna look bad if I take my clothes off on that band. It's going to be borderline illegal.
Oh my gosh, man! My mind is like totally like, what is this band? What is this music? Yeah.
This is different from that tribal band I used to listen to.
Okay.
This is a pop band.
Pop band. Okay.
Yes.
Because I was thinking it might be like Barbara Streisand or something like that.
Almost.
Maybe.
Almost.
Almost. Okay. I was just throwing some random artist out there, but it's like, okay, now I'm totally intrigued. Okay, so that being said, let's go ahead and close out the show. Roy, I would like I'm just gonna give the mic to you, and you can sort of like I told you about your appearance that's coming at the end of the month.
One quick comment.
Oh yeah, we got here.
Between man crushing on Vic and his lighting and Roy talking about taking his clothes off, Jarrell is a total lost cause.
I'm hot and bothered. That's what it is.
That's not the best word to describe it. Hot and bothered.
I know. I'm just trying to I'm. It's late and I'm just coming up with all sorts of crazy words right now, so you can tell that it's 1 o'clock.
You're going to have a hard time sleeping tonight.
I am. I'm gonna have to figure out 7-point lighting in my room,
or you can listen to your first few interviews and make it. Consider that as an SMR video.
Okay, and you guys learned about nervous leg syndrome. And if you didn't know that was a thing, now you know that's a thing. And if you can dig up that Marius interview, look for the shaky cam. Hey, Marius, thank you for being on the show.
Shaky cam and weird voice.
Shaky
weird
cam
pizza
interview.
voice.
Yes, it's like. All right, I'm done embarrassing myself. I'm glad this is late at night. It's late at night. Okay, so Roy, I'm gonna solo you out. You can sort of like just say something to Noni and your kids. I don't know. You can just sort of say something, or you can call out Marius and Maverick. How about that? Here. Yeah. So, all right. So here you go. I'm soloing you.
All right. So, I'm waiting for your response. You, ironical. Even I can't pronounce your last name, man. And I'm doubling down on this. And your pseudonyms are really hard to pronounce too, man. I like Marius and Maverick better. So
than the French words, yeah.
Yeah. I'm embarrassing myself. So yeah, I'm gonna see you guys next Friday, and Comics Cast has an interesting and really exciting guest this coming Sunday, right?
We do.
Yeah. So before you watch my interview, watch that first. So but going back to Vic, I think this is gonna be Vic's year. Obviously, he came prepared. Just like he said, he used to do photography, and that made him skilled in lighting. And I think all the puzzle pieces are falling for him. And this is gonna be a big year for you, Vic. So
thank you so much, man.
Yeah. So see you guys, and I don't know what to say anymore.
You did it well.
I'm so scattered right now. I don't know what to pull, and this is a crazy episode.
This is a prelude to like the antics that you're gonna see from Roy.
Oh yeah.
You know, because he's getting much more comfortable behind the camera or in front of the camera. You know, so I'm looking forward to those solo art videos where you're drawing and trying to talk at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you and Vic like collaborate to figure out the best way to do that.
If I'm going to dance and take my shirt off, wouldn't it be fair if Marius and Maverick to dance on their K-pop tune too?
Yes, you
dance
make
off.
sure. Yes, dance off.
Dance off.
I totally agree with that. And I think you were doing my job. You were even pitching the Let It Out show. So I'm glad that you could be a part of the team too. You know, you're already doing Vic and my job here. So
it's understandable. You know, you love me so much. You jump off 4 episodes ahead, man. That's
true.
That's so far ahead.
I know. See, that is so true. But you know, all good things must come to an end. So we're gonna close out the show, and just to follow up on what Roy said, tune in on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time USA to watch Let It Out, featuring the one and only Vic Medina and his co-host Gerald with bad lighting. To watch Charles
Tito Gerald.
Yeah, Tito Gerald. Tito Bad Idea. That's my name here. Because I'm just chock full of bad ideas.
Oh, your nephews.
But yes, my nephew and my nieces totally love me for my bad ideas. But yes, tune in Sunday, like I said, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time USA. We're going to feature Charles Dobes and I'm going to mispronounce his name, Erfan Fajar. I don't, but
you got it. Yeah.
I did. Did I get it right? I did. Okay. Yeah. You can check them out.
You didn't murder it this time. So
I didn't murder it this time. But
that's a good sign.
Come back on Sunday to see him murder
yes, exactly. So stay tuned for me to murder it because I think I will. I think on the last show I kept on pronouncing it correctly and then mispronouncing it and then it's like over and over. I would find
maybe you should drop the Tito bad idea. You should replace it with name murderer. The name murderer.
Name murderer. Oh, that was that. Okay, you heard it first. That's my new name, the name murderer. But yes, tune in because it's going to be a great show. They were guests on Let It Out last year. The comic Essence that they both work on. We're going to talk a little bit about Crunk, which is another title that Charles is writing. And we're also going to just look at some of the solo artwork that Airfam did. And that guy is like...
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is. The guy does so... I mean, when I look at a brush that's in Photoshop or Clip Studio or Procreate, you know, I don't ever think about... I think about it in the most mundane way. He uses these brushes, the brushes that he uses. It's like, I'm looking at him like, how did you do that? It just looks... It looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
And him working on Essence, it's like it's a different style, but it's still Airfan 100%. You're going to look at it and you're going to be very wowed. We're going to build off that last interview that they were on, you know, last year. Yeah. And it wasn't even that long ago. Yeah.
That's one of the first episodes I watched on Comics Cast.
Oh, well, good. So this will be so I'm looking. So that means that Roi is going to definitely be one of our artists that's going to be in our audience. Yeah. That's going to be drawing along. Good. So we got that. So, you know, definitely check that out. It's going to be this Friday Freestyle was definitely one for the books. I'm going to remember it always. So, but yeah, so tune in on Sunday to check that out. And Vic, you want to close us out, and then I'll play our intro. I mean, our outro music. So you can say whatever you want. I just hit myself.
Are we coming back again?
Yes. All right. You stay. We're going to do a little bit of a... Anyway, stay on there, Roi, because we're saying some things after we end the show. So, Vic, take us out.
All right. For everybody that watched, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube page. So we, you know, the more people we get, the more we can do for you guys. And we want to be bringing so many more indie comics to you. So help us out by doing those things. And until next Friday, we'll see you Sunday. Right?
Yes,
no, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. See you Sunday, and then we'll see you again next Friday.
Man.
Yeah.
It's Sunday.
Sunday. All right.
There you go.
Have a good night. We'll see you soon. Later.